Okay, how are you there? Welcome to the Uper edition of our little show. My name is Bruce, and with me tonight is my friend, Miss Janet from another planet.
Hello.
And Miss Janet, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, that's so good. That's so nice.
Sipping on my porcupine piss.
You got some porcupine piss, do you?
Yes, I
You,
do.
you got to splash
I
that on
do
your
have
face a little bit and your neck, and
one.
that's how you know the bucks are going to come right up to you. You're going to get yourself like a 30-point buck.
Yeah, I sure am.
Oh boy. So our friend Soy Base Jeremy made some pasties, and for those of you that don't understand what the hell is going on right now, we're reviewing the movie that's a Uper classic. This is called Escanaba in the Moonlight, and if you've never seen this movie, Bruce is going to help you out right now, and I mean he's going to help you out right now, like right now. So you can just take this little copy link and expand it into another tab, and then I'll even be a nice guy, and I'll put this in both our YouTube
Mhm.
and also over in our Rumble chat right now because I want you guys to see this movie. This is a fantastic movie. Oh, Janet, you look so pretty. You want
Thank
to go
you.
to the bowling alley later tonight, do you?
I do
Ooh, sounds like
with
fun.
you.
You're going to be beating those guys off with a 15-pound
Yeah,
bowl.
that smells good after this stuff.
God. Oh.
Yeah, he bought a an actual little theater and named it the Purple Rose in the
Didn't he
town of
direct this movie?
Tulsa, Michigan, his
Did,
hometown.
didn't Daniels direct this movie too?
Jeff Daniels, he
Jeff-
wrote it and directed it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was going through my show notes. I'm like, this guy pulled double duty. He did everything right. Um,
He really wanted to see this story come to life. That's why they work really hard when it's something they want.
and I was surprised it came out so nice and big, and all
Hmm.
those people they worked so hard. Oh boy!
Hmm. Yeah.
So for you guys that have never seen this, we're talking about a film that is a few years old.
Hmm.
It's not exactly like the Barbie movie budget film. This is a little different. This is a movie from 2001. Jeff Daniels directed a film that he made as a play.
Hmm.
Was it Michigan or was it Wisconsin?
No, I think it was in Michigan. I think all of it was done in Michigan.
Okay,
Everything. Because he even
I
made
didn't know if
the
they'd filmed some of it.
kid.
I know they have a lot of. There's a lot of references to Wisconsin because they consider themselves the same state.
Because it says on the trivia I was looking at that he founded a theater in his hometown of Chelsea, Michigan. It's called the Purple Rose, and that might have been where he did the play.
I
So,
think that's where he did, in fact, do this play and initially realized he had a nugget, a nugget of goodness. Oh, and before we,
and his three kids were actually in this movie too. The three kids that you saw
mm-hmm,
at the house with his wife at the time. It
mm-hmm.
says his three children, Lucas Daniels, Nellie Daniels, and Ben Daniels. Were that was their debut
Yeah,
on his dictatorial debut. It was the first movie he ever directed. His kids were in it. That
hey,
happens.
Jimmy took a shit.
This Chevy took a shit. That was funny when they acted that whole thing out and the engine caught on fire on the car. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
I'm sorry. This movie is just a class act.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
laughed a lot. It was
I
really funny. And you got to realize this was almost a uh, one location movie.
mm-hmm,
It had what, 6 people in the whole movie.
the whole
Well,
film.
it basically had actors, but it had like the whole the school bus
Uh-huh.
with kids. They went by, they were all laughing at him because he'd never gotten a deer.
Oh, the chain.
all those kids on that bus were real. It was real school kids on a bus that he put in the movie. So
Your mother had a tongue like a trout.
I know, I love that. That was one of the funniest lines in the movie.
Shay Rubinish. Yeah? Shinch ain't Sherman Shasties. I'd sure like some of those Sherman slapjacks. I could eat slapjacks every day of the week, Shay. Eh? Oh, I know you could, Jimmer. No, not flapjacks. Thank you, Six Nations, for reading the commentary, the quotes on here. This is great. Oh, you don't like slapjacks? Macaroni and cheese. Thank you very much. Oh, with spam. With spam.
With no spam.
Harf Presnell is so good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
How about slapjacks with spam? Fellas, just spam for me. Kraft macaroni and cheese. No flapjacks, no macaroni and cheese, and no spam. No spam.
Yeah, it's funny how the accents in this movie reminded me a lot of Canadian accents.
Well, I mean, they're basically family up there.
Well, yeah, but it's two different countries.
No, Janet. It's just a wee bitty line, and they go from one side to the other.
Well, I've never seen people just walk across the border up at Canada.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it happens.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it does too, but there's a lot of woods up there.
If they get lost, they probably discover the UFOs or maybe that Bigfoot guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about not getting the link to you till late.
Oh, that's all right. I was like just didn't want people to know that there must have been something going on because I hadn't been able to get in.
It is Bruce was hungry and he had to feed himself. I had to get some. Yesterday the wife sent me over to that place. Oh, that Costco place where they sell all the Kirkland fine foods, the organic food, the stuff that's more expensive than Sam's. And so I went over to Kirkland's and I was thinking about all the soda water that I needed, and I got me 2 big bags of stir fry vegetables because that's what you do. You know, you get two big bags of stir fry vegetables, and they're like 12, 5.5 pounds, maybe $8.50, $9. Mm-hmm. So I bought that. And then when I came home last night, I was thinking about it. We watched all those films together. But today when I got home, I forgot I had also bought 2 of those rotisserie chickens for $5 each. Now, a rotisserie chicken is a whole chicken, but they've already cooked it for you. You don't have to worry about nothing. It's already there. It's covered. So me and the wife had 1 chicken yesterday, and then I started chewing on 1 tonight. I put about half the chicken in my bowl and then cooked my stir fry up, and it was good. Well, anyway, so $5 at Kroger won't get you a whole chicken, not even a whole frozen chicken.
I love rotisserie chicken. Delicious.
It's a shame that you live in the sticks, because if you didn't live in the sticks, you could live next to a Kirkland Fine Foods. I mean, Costco.
Mm-hmm.
The boys are talking about the Black Ops here. Oh, yeah, it's been wonky. I had issues a few days ago. Yay. Same with Rumble. A lot of digital psyops going on. IMO. Oh, no, it's the insert next country we are forever warring with. Oh, boy. Roll the eyes. I'm pretty sure it was around this time. Yep, it's going to be like that movie coming up, Civil War, where they prepare us to fight against 19 of our states, which are going against the rest of the government. But those 19 states are probably following the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you know. Hey, Soy-Based Jeremy, how you doing, buddy? Made paste this.
So is he gonna join us tonight since he's in the chat?
If he wants to, he can, but he said he's probably not going to.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure he knew that we were thinking about it.
If he wants to, he can come on in. In fact, I'll even be a nice guy. I'm going to paste him out. I'm going to send him a nice little link, and that way, if he decides to, he can come on in. But if he's got a lot of bad noise in the background, if he's got like crying kids and like a Chihuahua fucking a Saint Bernard, we can't be having that now.
If he joins us, he needs to make sure he brings his porcupine piss.
Porcupine piss. And bring the linen kugels. I left it in the snowbank.
Because you gotta get it and you gotta put it all over you so that it draws the deer to you. Make them want to surround you.
I apologize for those people that I irritated with my Uper accent.
Well, I was going to say that when I was little, I had a lot of people call me a Canuck, and I had to tell them, no, I'm not a Canuck. I'm a Newfie, because I was born in Newfoundland, Canada, so on the island. And I don't talk like that at all because I wasn't
No,
raised there. But
no, you don't. Although I have yet to be around Janet who gets drunk. And when Janet gets drunk, I have a feeling she does turn into a different accented Janet. There'll be a
maybe,
different accent there.
yeah.
When I got drunk, I used to get a British, a real crappy British accent.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to record myself. I've never recorded myself when I'm drinking. Well, I did make 1 or 2 little videos, shorts, talking when I'm drunk, but that's it. But I don't think I had an accent.
We'll be the we'll be the judge of that. Okay, for those of you that are wondering what those pasties are, hold on. Entire screen. There we go. All right. Yep.
So what's in them? Is it venison?
I think it's whatever's in the fridge. This is kind of like a calzone, but these guys have messed up everything. They call stuff different things.
He says pasties are nip covers. I guess you could use dough as a nip cover.
You could.
It didn't last very long, but
Nope.
someone would eat it.
Washington or Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, they all have a bit of Canuck accents.
Mhm.
And this
I
movie's up
guess
in the
if you
Upper
were born and
Peninsula.
raised there, but if you're a transplant, you wouldn't. And that's what I'm thinking will happen one day is that so many people will move to so many different places and we'll bring in so many people from so many different places that there won't really be accents anymore. What do you think?
Well, there's this place called Nashville,
Mhm.
and as much as people try to say they're gonna blend the whole city, the whole country, they're gonna blend everything together. It's
Mhm.
gonna be homogenized. You're all gonna be a light caramel brown skin. You're all gonna have brown eyes. You're all gonna have dark hair and male pattern baldness.
Yeah.
I really think that the holdouts of Kentucky and Georgia and Tennessee are going to save the nation by keeping their individuality and their history. Some will say their culture and bigotry, but that's fine. Without those states keeping their individuality, we really don't have a state in the nation that talks about its individuality as much. Even Texas, right now, with the crappy immigration going on, thank you so much, World Economic Forum. I can't wait for you to be subject to a 9.7 earthquake on the Richter scale. I can't stand
And that
you, and I hope.
one day.
What?
How big was the last one they had? That last big one they had.
They're going against Elon Musk now, I heard.
Oh, California?
Not California, but the World Economic Forum. The EU and WEF are going up against Elon Musk. They want to sue him and Twitter
For what?
because he's exposing stuff.
Because he's exposing things?
Because he's just given a voice to everything, and like you can't have the plebes, being able to talk and have part of the town square.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that. I haven't really been reading any news or any of that today. I've been so busy.
Now, Mr. Mac, I know you're from up there. There's a lot of quote unquote rednecks in North Dakota, South Dakota area. In fact, whenever I was up driving around that area, I felt really at home because there's no big cities to screw up everything and draw people that have like a certain agenda where they just want to suck off the tit of the working man, which is really a nasty thought, you ugly chest feeders. But that's what they're doing. Like, instead of going out and getting a job, you have these grown ass men in these crappy coastal cities sucking off the tit of the working people. And most of the working people that earn a good check, if they're not involved with admin or human resources and making 6 digits an hour, they're in the upper 5 digits as a tradesman. And it's kind of pissing me off. Fucking chest feeders. Can't stand them. I wish they just Ryan Reynolds themselves. I did 21 push-ups today for those guys because I hope the one veteran that's a piece of shit, I hope he still goes through with it. Anyway. General chat.
I think I would like those. I made something one time with my sister. It was called Burox.
Burox?
Yeah, and had potatoes and meat and carrots and spices and stuff in it, and wrapped it with bread dough, and then we baked it in the oven, and then we made a sauce to dip it in. It was delicious, and I loved it. So if it's anything like that, I bet it's really good. I wish I could have Jeremy make me some, or Felixx make me some. 'Cause he's gonna be a chef one day, I think.
I really hope so.
Oh, hi, Rock Creations. Thank you for joining us. I'm not very good at reading my chat and stuff, and I don't even know if I have anyone over there or not. I guess I better go over there and look.
We do got some people. We got about a handful of people over there at Rumble who are following along with us. Thank you so much. And if you want to talk about the movie, if you want to see the movie, I put it in the chat in Rumble so you could go watch Moonlight or Escanaba into Moonlight.
Yeah, it's I think you can watch it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you?
And it's also on Plex and
Mhm.
on Freevee as well. You don't need to give them money over at Plex. Plex will give you free stuff every month. It might not be the best stuff. It'll be like watching broadcast television.
Mhm.
You're not
The
going to
thing
get the
is,
best.
I was surprised because I'd never heard about a movie about people hunting deer, you know, uh, or wanting to kill a deer because of all the, whiners, in Hollywood that complain about everybody wanting to kill and use guns and whatever else. That I was surprised that someone from Hollywood would even write a script. I think it cost $1 million to make this movie, and they doubled their money, a little over doubled it. So it's not too bad for basically an independent movie. You know what I mean?
I think I saw an advertisement for it when I
Mhm.
lived in Decatur. I think I saw an advertisement for it for the Avon Theater, which was our artsy fartsy theater.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I say artsy fartsy, I mean they had the Why Mama Ye Tambien movie, which I didn't realize is a stealth. Uh, that's a stealth alternative lifestyle movie where these guys go cross country with this really hot Latina, and she gets them to have a threesome, and then
And what's that movie called?
I think Why Mama Tambien.
Oh, is it a porn?
It's not supposed to be a porn. It's supposed to be about a movie of coming of age and like you meet a hot person and then you'd like have a one night stand with them and then like you have that awkward breakup and the entire film is
Mhm.
kind of like focused on one of the guys as he's getting his head straight after the endeavor because he just saw his best friend naked and so they don't talk anymore. They
Yeah.
kind of have an intimate encounter because they've like shared a woman and at the very end he meets his best friend again and he's like, how have you been? He's like, did you hear about I don't know what her name was. I forgot. It's been 20 years. And he's like, no, I didn't. And, well, she died. She was always on the phone talking to her doctor in Spanish, and she was on prescriptions dying of cancer, and she wanted one last huzzah. So she took these young bucks out, played mommy cougar to them.
Oh, oh. I thought you were going to say something about her being pregnant. She had a baby, and now they got to
No,
find out which one was the dad.
no.
Like that movie 3 Men and a Baby. Wasn't that kind of like what
That's
it
a
was?
great movie, and that's a fantastic film because it has the ever delightful and curvy Kirstie Alley in it.
I don't think that had Kirstie Alley in it.
3 Men and a Baby? Yeah, it did.
It did?
Yep. That was the mother of the child.
I thought it was another
No,
actor.
wait, that's too. That's Look Who's Talking. My bad. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
Look Who's Talking he was in 2 movies then. And wasn't the baby Bruce Willis?
Yep.
His
Bruce
voice.
Willis was the voice of the child back whenever he had his hearing,
Yeah.
or
But
right, especially when he got deaf.
because 3 Men and a Baby, she's there for a little bit and she leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then she comes back. So, and it was Ted Danson's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. I remember that. It was good. That's a good movie that we could do that one too. That's a good heartwarming movie with a lot of laughter and stuff in it too. A heartwarming. We don't do that a lot. But this was a really cute movie, a good winter.
Good
Winter.
winter film. Like seriously, warm up a pot of authentic whole milk chocolate, pour out some mugs, and start watching it with the wife or girlfriend or husband, significant other.
But it did have some slapstick in it,
Oh my God.
Yeah, quite a bit of it. And the whole thing where with the one guy's farts, it's so big that the whole room's wind is blowing and people's lips are flapping and stuff. It was way over the top on some of that stuff, but it was really funny. I mean, I did laugh a lot. I turned my mic off a few times because I know they got to be getting annoyed by me, so turn my mic off. But God, it was really good. It was really funny. I really enjoyed it. And you know what? I try to tell people at least try to do one thing a week that makes you laugh because it's good for you.
Yeah.
Laughter early is good for you. I think it's good for your soul.
Well, I watched this movie over the weekend called Real Steel. And I told you about that, but that was my first time viewing it. And I'm like, man, that is such a good little film. The only thing I really didn't like is the fact that basically he's a shitty dad. And, like the kid, the whole time the movie's going on, the kid's got the adult role.
Mm-hmm.
And he's only 11. I really didn't dig that. I didn't dig that in the least bit. But when we watched this movie, I remembered all the good times I had watching it, rewinding it, and watching it all over again because it was just fucking
I didn't know you had seen it before because I'd never seen this. This was the first time
I only saw it because Soy-Based Jeremy kept talking about it and wouldn't shut the hell up about it. I'm like, fine, Jeremy, I'll put it on in December. It was like August at the time. And when I watched it, like, it's one of those films, whenever I see that much snow, I just get cold.
Yeah.
I
don't. Every time I see something like that, it makes me want to go somewhere with snow because I just absolutely love snow. I love eating it. I love playing in it. I love everything about snow.
Absolutely not.
I even love shoveling it.
I look at snow the same way that beavers look at running water. Absolutely not. Okay. I see that in too much of a volume form, and I'm like,
Did you used to live in snow when you grew up?
I lived in Illinois, which, like, you think with the state being so far north, they would understand how to deal with snow and what to do, and how to have a fucking infrastructure. But, wintertime just renders that state powerless anywhere south of I-80. And if you're not within 20 miles of fucking St. Louis, you're fucked. Even though you feed the nation.
I lived in snow for a very long time. I lived in Idaho. I lived in Spokane, Washington. I lived in Maine. I lived in New England, lots of different places. And I loved it. And I did shovel snow. If somebody else would do the cleaning and cooking, I'd rather shovel snow than I would do all that other junk. So I'd swap out, and then you could just rub my feet and make them warm when I'm done, or rub my hands for me and stuff. But I don't mind shoveling snow.
Oh, Jackie Blue's in here. I didn't mean to embarrass your daughter. I'm sorry, hon.
That's okay.
And I won't talk about Why Mama Tambien movie ever again. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot of chick flicks I haven't seen, so you'd probably know more about it than me. Like that one about the traveling pants or something.
I have no idea. I never saw
that. There's a bunch of them I haven't seen. So my sisters will watch it, but I didn't. I just liked 3 Men and a Baby. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't even think of it as a chick movie.
There was a time in it. Mac Thompson's like, you rookies. Come to North Dakota where it's high plains, no trees, 50-mile-per-hour winds, -60, and whiteouts every other day. Yeah. Let me tell you that I went up to North Dakota in the month of August. I went up there in August of 2014. I just gotten off of a vacation, so I had to like do some forgiveness time with my boss because I dared use my vacation because they didn't like that. So yeah, we had two guys in the same town who just grew up, but they don't even know each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went up to North Dakota in August of 2014. I was on forgiveness moment at the time with my job, trying to back in their good graces. Thanks for the week off. Oh, you need this done? Shit. So they fly me up there, and I go out 70 miles west of Bismarck somewhere. I think that's where it was. I was in the Bakken, the shale, the shale oil frack area, and I go out with this mechanic. We find a truck, and I'm there for about 13 hours just waiting for him to fix the truck. And I'm there holding a flashlight, grabbing tools, doing all the manly things. Well, unfortunately, at about 7 o'clock, I realized I was ill prepared for North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
I had a long sleeve shirt, and it wasn't going to be enough because it was going to be about down to 45 or 40, which I should be able to survive in a long sleeve shirt. I can do that now because my body loves cold weather now, because cold weather for me is 40 degrees here. Yeah, I'll be in short sleeves all day at 40 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
But that took me 8 years to get back to that.
Well, you get acclimatized.
Yeah, well, at the time, I had just gotten in Texas, and I'd spent 3 years here in Texas, and then I go up to North Dakota in August, and it gets down to like 45 degrees at night, 40 degrees. Not exactly good weather. We were stuck out there while it's raining, and it just was miserable. And so my boss wanted me to get on the road as soon as the truck was fixed. I said, I'm not going to do an exam on it until the morning. I need daylight. Pissed him off. Really pissed him off. And so I was like frustrated. I'm not taking this truck on the road. It's dark. And I might miss something on my exam, on my pre-trip. And I don't want to be, in the same boat. The mechanic is like, just get it started. Let's see if it starts. I'm like, no, we'll start it up tomorrow. And he's like, start it up now. Fine. So I started up, and then he just leaves. I'm like, hey. So I spend the night out in the truck, and they're texting me the whole time, you need to get going. No, I'm not getting going. I want to sleep here and stay warm because it's raining, and I don't want to be driving in something I don't know. So the next day I start my trip, and fuck all, if it wasn't like severely fucking cold, it was like 40 degrees the next day in August. You know where I move? I'm used to living in August in Illinois. It's at least 95 degrees. In South Texas, it's 110. And I'm not appreciating this change in my life at all. So I finally get out of North Dakota and start making my way south. I hit 35, and my life slows down because that's just what happens when you hit 35, especially around Oklahoma. And once you get into Texas, it's just like, I need another route. But it took me about 2 full days of driving to get from North Dakota to Texas. And I had 2 logbooks because that's what I did at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But my boss was happy afterwards. He's like, oh, you got here before I thought you would. I thought you were going to screw me and, be honest about your drive time. I'm like, no, I've got 2 logbooks. If I get tired, I pull over. He's like, well, that's pretty smart. And they didn't have a governor on that truck either, so I could actually run like 75 mile per hour with it. But damn it, it was fucking cold. Yeah, it was like severe cold front for August. It didn't break any records. I remember the radio lady saying that. And when I go out, I typically, it's AM radio. If I'm in a new area, I just keep it on AM because that's the only reliable way that you can get communication as to traffic and highway closures, etc.
Yeah. If it's so bad, if snow is so shit, I hear so many people bitch about it, then why do people live there?
Money.
Why do you stay? I know, but why don't you grow up and move before
No,
settle
Janet,
whatever?
I only went to North Dakota because I was getting paid to go to North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go to North Dakota just out of the blue for no reason with no contact there. Like now that I know Mac is up there now, I would go up there. Hey, Mac, I'm in North Dakota. Where are you at? I'm 3 hours away. No matter where you're at in North Dakota, I'll be there.
Well, That's sad that you moved there for someone and you hate where you live now because of the snow. It's sad because I loved it. Every time I've ever lived there for years at a time, I shoveled snow. I played in it every day. I'd go out and get bowls of it and eat it while I was in the house. You know, I just love it. It's something I could adjust to. If I had the money, I would probably go to Reno because that'd be close enough to go party and have fun, but have beautiful mountains to look at, desert, beautiful desert, and wonderful snow, and you can go skiing and sledding and stuff like that. I think I would like it if I could ever do it, on a permanent basis.
Well, the entire month of February 2011, we had 2 blizzards where I was living at in Deer Creek, Illinois. I had the greatest apartment, which any of my old D&D group, Garrett Connell, will tell you that was the greatest apartment ever.
Yeah.
It's on my YouTube channel.
You left?
That was where I left. Okay. But in February of 2011, there was 2 blizzards back to back. And so I saw the out of doors 4 days. Snowed so badly where I lived, where I had to literally open up my kitchen window to get my dog outside so he could pee. And the dog and I started using the kitchen window for a couple times while I was busy trying to bury or unbury my front door. And the dog wasn't really like acclimated for cold weather. He was an inside dog. He was a schnauzer. He was an old man schnauzer. I miss that guy. He was really good. I miss warm nights in October. I miss 4 seasons, shit like that. Yeah, up there, you guys have the same problem that we have in Texas. You have 1 season that dominates the calendar, and you have 3 other seasons smushed in 6 weeks. South Bend, Fort Wayne. I love Fort Wayne. I got a nice layer of blubber to keep my innards toasty. It put me on a spit roast, and you'll have a tasty brisket and roast. Yeah, don't tell our lizards overlords, though. Okay. So, Janet, when you started watching this movie, what was your initial thought when you heard Escanaba and the Moonlight before we even saw it?
Well, to me, the name, it sounded like it was, like a romance from Italy or something. Mm-hmm. So when I looked it up, I was like, what? This doesn't sound like what the name would be at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why he chose that name. That's kind of interesting. It doesn't even sound, like Indian or anything either. So for the amount of that part of it, you know what I mean? For that inspiration stuff in there with the spells and the potions and stuff. And the chant.
That's from the culture.
That's what I mean, though. For the name of the movie, I would never have guessed the movie was going to be about this with the name like the one that it has right now. So, just to me, it was threw me off. So when we started looking at it and stuff, I was shocked about what the movie was about. But it was funny. Definitely a good comedy.
Flatey is looking for a place with eternal spring. I've been there once. It's Cabo in Mexico, and I would recommend it to anybody who likes nice temperatures. When I was there, we had 72 degrees as a standard. It was like 90 at the hottest and 60 at the coldest. It was great. It was just a wonderful, and the people were friendly. But you go there with American dollars, and you can live like a king. If you live there, you're stuck in a service industry and you can't afford a Lone Star beer at all. You're just in poverty.
Yeah. If you're from there.
Yeah. If you're from there, you're stuck in poverty. Mm-hmm. Like, from what I understand, I might be changing jobs here. So we might be doing the stream earlier in the day. And I apologize to my viewers. I really do. But if I get this job, I'll be having to start earlier on this. And the time that we start probably be the time I end, so I can get some sleep because I have to wake up and be at work at 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. But I'll be going back to my oil field pay. So my life will go for a nice change. Anyway.
Well, as long as you like what you're doing It
I'm
doesn't
I'm
matter if we
I'm
have to change it
changing
as hours.
the paycheck, and the people who sign the paycheck will be different.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing will stay the same, and I'll be doing it for
Oh,
about
okay.
10 to 12 hours a day, maybe up to 14.
Yeah.
Um,
We can
Mexico,
adjust.
Mexico's a close second. Albion, where's Albion at?
I don't know. Never heard of it.
Neither have
Is that
I. I apologize.
Mexico?
Say again.
Is that in Mexico?
That doesn't sound Mexican.
I thought it was the name of a town or something. That's why I asked. But I thought there was a country in South America that's a lot of people are wanting to go to, and I can't remember the name of it, but I've heard a lot of people that have moved down there because they said
Well,
the living
if
is really
if
cheap.
if I win the lottery, we're gonna go somewhere on the we're gonna stay in Texas, but we're gonna go somewhere a little more north where we're at, probably in the Triangle somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say the Triangle, Texans know I mean between Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. But I really like this area, and I like the things I've seen here, and the money still can get you a relatively cheap land compared to everywhere else. Albion is in Michigan, unless he's talking about a different Albion.
Yeah. See, I don't know.
I don't know where Six Nation 31
Oh,
Kings is
goodness.
talking to us from. I apologize, sir. Okay. But yeah, Escanaba and the Moonlight, it kind of weirded me out because I didn't understand what they were talking about. What is this?
Yeah,
And
that's
so
what I mean. That's how I felt. I felt like the name when I went to look it up, I was like, is this the right movie? Because I was like really thrown off. But
it really you didn't think that I would try to send you on a movie like this, did you?
no, no, and I was really surprised that this movie was recommended to us by someone young, and they had seen this and liked it. So to me, he's got real good parents. That's all I could say. Because if his parents talked him into watching this, they were trying to push him in the right direction to view something that has actual, I don't know, intellectual comedy in it. It's not just like I said. What was that one I always bring up about the guy that gets the guy glued to his chest?
Oh, you're
That
talking
kind
about
of dumb humor.
Willy's Wonderland?
No, the TV show where they're they outdo each other and get the crap beat out of them all the time. I
Either
can't remember.
Jackass or
Yeah, Jackass. That's
okay.
it. Okay. So to have parents that direct you away from Jackass to actual comedy, that's a good parent. That's what I mean. That's why I think it's great. So that's the real place.
Yep, this is it. Escanaba. Cute little town.
Oh, that was what I was going to look real quick for this. Something about that.
And it's kind of funny that there's a flat rock nearby. There's a flat rock in about every state I've been in. I guess that's a common name. And an Alton. We just recycle names of towns for all the 50 states. That's all we do.
I was trying to find something, but I guess I didn't print that out. Darn it.
So anyway, this is the Mackinac Bridge. And this is the bridge. Everybody up in Michigan knows this. This is, everybody.
Bridge that goes over what Michigan, Lake Michigan?
Lake Michigan and I forgot the other Blake. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'm not from up there. So you got Michigan,
that's nice math
Superior, and Lake Huron. My bad. Nope, my bad. And I really screwed that up. No, I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't live up there. You got Lake Michigan over here, Lake Huron over here, and if you
Yeah.
go over here, there's Superior.
Hmm.
I want. Is there a channel that goes? Is there a canal that goes from one of these? Okay, it
Yeah, it
does.
looks like it. Looks like
Okay,
they all feed each other. Very beautiful.
it looks
I
pretty. I mean,
I never really went and looked at it at all when we were up in the Great Lakes in I'm trying to remember the Zion, Illinois.
oh God, I'm
My
sorry.
sister was pregnant there, and I went to stay with her for a little bit, but it was winter, so um, I didn't really get to see anything. It was so cold, and you walk outside, and your nostrils would freeze almost instantly. But it wasn't. It was snow, but it wasn't regular snow. It was like ice,
It's like
flying
lake effect
ice.
snow,
So
which is not fun.
yeah, it wasn't. It was too cold. It wasn't. It wasn't pretty snow like the kind you get in Spokane.
Here's where
For being that cold.
here's Zion,
Hmm.
and there's I believe there's a sub training school not too far from here.
Hmm.
Where's Gurney
Yeah,
at?
my sister's husband went there.
There's Kenosha. Okay, there's the cheesehead line right there, as we call it.
Hmm. It says State Line. Is that the name of the street?
Nope, that's the name. That's the cheesehead line right there. That separates the dickheads from the cheeseheads.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but
Cheeseheads are Wisconsinites.
oh, so the Wisconsin's on that side.
Yep, and then Illinois is over here. Here's USO. Somewhere down here is oh wait, there it is.
Hmm.
There's a naval station training area.
Okay.
Probably where your husband went.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't meet him there, but I'm sure he went there.
Yeah. I was there before it snowed, so I mean I was happy to get out in October. All right, I'm gonna quit sharing this, but had a lot of fun up in that area. And then in 2006, I traveled a lot because I got my CDL, and like it's different. Like when you are a young kid and you need money, your farmer friend shows you how to use his 3 lever, like 58 international truck that you shuttle from the farmhouse to the field, and you do
Mhm.
2 cycles going back and forth with the field and loading up the truck from the combine and then heading off to the grain elevator. You do 2 cycles in the morning, and you do just 2 cycles at night. You got barely enough time for all that. And
Yeah.
the first and last cycle towards the winter time, it really is dark. So going from just doing like an 8 mile shuffle is different than like I've got my CDL, I'm going everywhere. And that's just that going on across the Mackinac was kind of scary because it wasn't that long before where somebody was driving like a Yugo. Do you remember the Yugo? It's like a precursor to the Daewoo. I'm talking about compact cars, people.
Yeah, it's a little car, I guess.
Well, yeah, this little car, and the part of the Mackinac is like a weird bridge. They've got, I was trying to show on the Mackinac, but they used to have a part of it where there's like a fiber, or not a fiber, but a wire mesh underneath your car. And these gusts of wind would come across and would blow your car over. Like, you'd kind of lose control a little bit. You'd have to scoot different, and it's just scary because they close down the Mackinac every once in a while, and it would be icy. But this poor person was driving her Yugo, and it blew the Yugo up and over the guardrail and into the drink. So
Yeah.
it was scary driving on the Mackinac the first time because they still had the mesh on it, I believe, because it made that weird noise. And I was just panicking the whole time. But because like you're going into an area, you have no idea what it's like, and it's like mostly May going into June, and you can feel that there's still some slush on the road from the lake. I don't know. I wasn't into it.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the movie that I thought was really, really authentic, to me, it was, I have been to a couple of deer camps, and most of the time women aren't there. They only have the women up there when they're doing like the big bonfire, or they're having like a special cookout, or they're cooking burgers, and stuff like that, or a big pot of venison stew or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like the family night or whatever. So, but when you go there, it's just very nonchalant. It's like like big puffy brown, what do you call those chairs? Beanbag chairs. It's
I
very,
like beanbag chairs.
yeah, but it's very low on worrying about what it looks like, on aesthetics. It's basically just the stuff you need, that's it. The bathroom and the toilets are always disgusting. It's really dirty and stuff, but you just go and you just, do the best you can and try to enjoy it, because the guys are always in a good mood. It's fun, and it's really fun, but it's very manly. It's because there's no women's touch. You know what I mean? It's just very as plain as possible. Toilet paper out, paper plates are out, the pots and pans are out. Now I could tell that it looked like they did try to pick up, because the dishes are all piled over by the sink, things like that.
Oh yeah.
Trash was emptied, things like that. So the guys were definitely trying, and you could tell that they had picked up all the beer cans and stuff, because there were just bags of them sitting around. So, but that's what I liked about this movie, is that they made it, the cabin looked authentic. It looked like a real man's hunting
Man
cabin.
cave.
The way it was all set up, very skimpy amount of furniture. They didn't really have snacks or anything, because you can't really leave stuff if you only go there once a year, because you have rats and then if you have rats, you're gonna have snakes in there during the summer and stuff like that, depending on when you're using it. And some, maybe even in the fall, you'd have snakes, and you don't want rats in there. So I thought they did a really good job, and the outhouse scenes and stuff that they had in there looked like an authentic outhouse, because I have used
that was deluxe, Janet.
Yeah, it was 2-seater. I thought it was great.
A 2-seater.
But things like that, little things like that, I tried to look for, because they did a great job of making it look authentic. And so they used an authentic cabin, and it had been pretty sturdy, because there was a couple scenes where they were up on the roof, when the crazy guy was up there doing his blubbering, because nobody could understand what the heck he was saying when he was talking about his Chevy took a shit and stuff like that. It was just great. It was really funny. And the whole thing about all the people that had run-ins with the UFOs, that was all funny, because who doesn't know someone who went on a hunting trip or lives up in rural areas, where there's just rednecks, hillbilly people, that everybody's seeing something that has to do with aliens, right? These shiny lights,
not just aliens.
Lapse in time, yeah, Bigfoot, mysterious creatures, but they all have lapse in. Sorry, I'm getting funny, but lapse in time, right? And
there's a missing time.
After seeing what happened to these guys when they drank all that Indian, who knows what, right? Had bull's balls in it, and it had all kinds of porcupine pee, like they were using it to rub all over themselves, all that different stuff. And you can see why people would pass out and not remember something for 3 days, because who knows what they were doing up there, drinking moonshine. They were trying to make their own moonshine. And it was just funny. I thought it was just really authentic when it came to a bunch of guys hanging out at the cabin, trying to waiting for opening day so they could all go hunting, and they're fighting over who's going to get what area. It just sounded like a real group of guys that hunt every year to me, because I've been many, many times. I've never got to stay but one night normally, because we get to stay one night. We're supposed to be leaving, because they're kind of like, okay, you guys need to get, you need to hurry up and get going, because they don't want you to stay. It's almost like when a woman goes aboard a ship pirate ship. They don't want a woman because she's cursed or she'll curse the ship. So it was kind of like that. And I thought that was really funny. The whole way that they handle each other and the things that they did while they were in their cabin. I thought it was really good. So what do you think about that part of it?
I thought it was great. I actually think I think there's the authenticness that came from the fact that we are watching a film where there's not a single woman's touch in the entire movie. I think Mad Mardigan, 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser's buddy, who can't stand seeing women in movies, I think he would love this film.
Yeah,
But
I think it was really good. Now there is a woman in this movie.
there
She's
is.
very limited, actually limited. They talk about her more than you actually see her. He talks about his wife more.
And
But
it's funny because she's a better hunter than he is too.
well, yeah, when they were back flashbacks from when they were young. But I mean, the actual acting parts where they're having interaction and dialogue and things like that, it's very, very small amount that she's even in there. And just like that movie 12 Angry Men, you don't have to have both sexes troping all over each other for the movie to be entertaining, and not think about women, because a lot of the movies they talk about them. Or you'd have some women in a group, doing their little hen party or whatever, and they talk about guys. So they do talk about the opposite sex in lots of scenes, even though, like in some of the war movies, you have all men in it and they're all talking and looking at pictures of the women that they left behind, that type of thing. So you do have the sentimental stuff in there too, but it's just not filled with dialogue between two sexes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it didn't take away from the movie at all about being with the men, because it was entertaining.
This movie isn't really about. It actually, to me, this movie is about how being with a bunch of authentic people that respect and love you and want to see you get better. It kind of helps round you out and be a more fulfilled person for your family when you go back to them. And I know that sounds kind of weird or maybe even a little bit soft on some of you, but
well, after spending that much time with only guys, you start to realize, I miss my woman, or the woman that's in your life. You want to go home to them. But what was really, to me, was very good, and I know this, I don't want to ruin it for the guys, is the fact that you had three men, okay, the dad and two sons, those three men, and then the friend, okay. But the three men, the two sons and the dad, have a bond, a different bond than they had with the other guy, the farting guy or whatever, the gibberish guy. Okay, so the one brother saying he didn't want to give up, the pasties, to eat them, that type of thing, and he didn't want to change his shirt, and he didn't want to do all these things because he's worried that it was going to jinx him from getting his buck, right? Yeah. And that's all they wanted. It's not the fact that you knew they weren't going to starve if they didn't get a deer. Okay, it wasn't that. It was in the pride of being able to be out and do the hunt, that type of thing. And I understand that because I grew up, as a hunter, basically, and in a family where my father would hunt, right, and my mom, periodically she would hunt. But the fact that the dad and the brother both agreed that they would change their routine and give up certain things just so the brother and the son would be able to have a chance to change his luck for him to get a buck, his first one ever.
They didn't make him eat the pasties.
Yeah, I thought it was very heartwarming to me, and to see the men bond in that way, in their manly way of going around it. You know what I mean? Without being too not manly. You know what I mean? I just thought it was great. I just loved all of that part, the camaraderie between the two sons and the dad. I just liked that a lot. I thought it was very good. And I wish more women would watch it, because if women would watch it, I think it would help them understand a little more about how men deal with each other.
I'd be so lucky.
Yeah, well, better have me a snort, eh?
You know what's good for you?
How you feeling, Pop?
If I felt any better, that'd be dangerous.
I love how he talks to his son.
Uh-huh.
That just this entire film, you have that sort of camaraderie and caring and a bond, and you
Mhm.
don't get that. You really don't.
The thing is that they've made it, Hollywood has made it a crime for some reason for two men to be men and to be men with each other. Even the interactions between a son and a dad, they've wimpified to the man. You know what I mean? The man
Yeah.
can't say, well, son, you know, you shouldn't cry over that. You can't cry over spilt milk. You need to get back up and, whatever, to go for it type of thing. And trying to, instead of saying, oh, it's okay, hun, I don't know. I don't know how to explain any different than that. But my dad was like that with me. My dad was tougher on me than he was my sisters. I remember trying to carry, he had a pack on me. I had my pack and we was in Spokane. And I think I was 8 years old, and I had a pack on, and I had my own bedroll. I had to carry all my food. I had to carry everything, all my own things in my bag. And I remember I was really tired, and I had a couple bites on my leg and my lower ankle from ticks, I think. I didn't know what it was. And I told my dad, I said, I need to sit down and take off my boot. And he said, you can't take your boot off because you might not be able to get it back on if your foot swells up or whatever. So he wouldn't let me take my boot up, but he let me roll my socks down, and I did have a tick on me. So I took that off, but I sat down on a stump and my ass went right through it because it was rotted. Okay. Now I had a wet ass, and then I rolled backward over myself because my pack was so heavy when I sat and the whole time I'm crying. And why I remember doing it, my dad was like, "Buck up. We got a long way to go to camp." Whatever. He said, you'll be fine. You can dry your pants up when we get there. So he didn't let me be a baby. He made me have to do it because he said, if you were by yourself, you'd have to be able to do these things. So he was rough on me, about a lot of things, but I'm glad he was, because he was right. If I'd been out there by myself, if I laid there and cried, I'd probably die out there somewhere by myself. So I'm glad he was that way with me. And I wish more movies would let men just be men and women be women and talk to each other like real men and women would talk, or real men would talk to each other, that type of thing. Because I just think it's sad that they've made it so where a man can't be a man anymore on a movie or a TV show, and it was nice to see that. To me, it was refreshing to see. Just like I said, I noticed, and I'm a woman, and I noticed that it looked authentic. I mean, even when he went in, was sitting in there, the dad, when he found out his moonshine didn't work, he turned back into molasses or whatever, for syrup. Even they were hoping it was some good moonshine, and it didn't turn out. And he's sitting in there in the outhouse with all those jars. So it was just nice because it was not a place for ladies. You could tell there was no lady input. And I like that, because to me, that made it more authentic. It was easier for me to grasp everything else that was going on, the way they treated each other and the way they talked to each other, because it wasn't a place for women. This is a place where guys are guys, and they just run around their long johns, and they just be guys, they farted and burped and scratched, and they didn't care, and I just thought it was great. I just loved that whole point of view, the way that they were letting you see authentic men, sons hanging out with their dad. I just loved it. I thought it was really good. I'll shut up for a minute, let you go.
You're great. You don't listen.
But
You're not going to offend me.
I wish more women could see it. I wish more women were interested in seeing this type of movie and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
I got really happy watching this film because it reminded me of seeing my grandfather with my uncles, and seeing my uncles with their family, because there was always, like, my uncle Barry was from the hunting culture. Like, he was the type of guy that when he was growing up, as soon as it was like September, he would turn off the AC and throw the windows open all night.
Yeah, and you hear all the crickets.
That didn't stop until like March or April. So he would have like nights where there would be like 30-degree nights in his home because, or, he'd left the windows open when he was a kid growing up. His dad let that happen because his dad's like, oh, he's just trying to toughen himself up because he's going to go, shooting a shotgun, going for deer tomorrow, or doing whatever the hunting style is. That's what he was into, whatever the season is.
Yeah.
And then they had a blind friend that he would go and help him with his crossbow, reload his crossbow faster than the blind guy could. So he was always doing stuff like that. My Uncle Barry was a Chad. He was a very much a man's man. Kind of breaks my heart that he died of brain cancer in 2017. But didn't we have a guy just recently die of that?
I don't know.
And
This seems like a lot more people have died of cancer in the last 2 years. It's just really weird.
yeah, the Red Sox pitcher.
Yeah, I see.
Tim Wakefield. I
Yeah.
remember this guy because when he was in his prime, everybody and their brother is talking about Tim Wakefield and how he can throw knuckleballer like the 1940s, 1950s.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought, I'm going to send this to Bruce because I bet he knows this guy. But the thing
I
is,
really don't.
what? He's only 50? Yeah, he's in his 50s.
He's 57.
Yeah, he's pretty young still.
He was great. He's one of the greats, and we don't have this guy around anymore.
Mm-mm.
And it's gonna suck because this, he helped the team win the first championship in 86 years. He died at 57 October 1st. And I thought, wow, yeah, this guy just passed earlier this year. And brain cancer is something that whenever I hear somebody's got it, because of the fact my uncle died from it, not related to me, you have to have a brain to die from brain cancer. My uncle, God bless him, but I mean, he was really just a very good man. He knew how to hunt. He knew how to butcher an animal. He knew how to feed a family. He had the crappiest job in the world as a machinist, which if you've ever done machining, you are standing alone in an area where you need hearing protection and eye protection. And he did it day in and day out for 8 to 10 hours a day. And he had the most, he didn't have a miserable life, but whenever he would get off work, whenever he'd go camping, he would turn into somebody else. He would turn into like a Tasmanian devil that would never stop moving. Now, I'm going to go fishing now. I'm going to go hunting. I'm going to go sit in my blind. And like he would try to cram in all the things between sunup and sundown from Friday night to Sunday night. And then like you'd see him morph and die inside as he realizes Monday, I got to go back to work. Now he didn't hate his job by any means. He loved being a machinist because it allowed him the freedom to do stuff. So he could save a month or two at a time and then get his weekend of happiness. And his wife allowed him to do that because she knew when he'd come home, he'd want to go, and do husband-wife things. Oh, you haven't seen me for 2 days. Let me wear this special perfume and it'll drive you nuts. And that's just the type of people they were. It was really cute watching them as a couple.
Yeah.
But this Wakefield fella, he died of brain cancer, and he had talked about it maybe a few weeks ago. Kurt Schilling revealed without Tim or family's consent that the knuckleballer had brain cancer. So we find out in like August when all this happens, and then at the start of October, dead.
Yep. See, that what's sad though that I've noticed is my mother, she passed away from pancreatic cancer. Okay. Well, she had it really bad, but she didn't realize how bad it was. But the thing is, I never saw my mother my whole life without a cigarette. Okay. So that was one reason why I didn't like smoking, because I don't think, I wish more people didn't smoke because I've seen the effects of what happens when you smoke daily. And my mom smoked a lot of cigarettes. So it was sad to see that. And until the doctor told her that basically it was from smoking, even though everyone thinks lung cancer, everyone who dies from lung cancer was from smoking. But I know 4 people who have died from lung cancer, and only one of them died because they smoked. The rest of them died from whatever other thing that they had breathed in. It wasn't from cigarettes. It was from like asbestos or some other chemical from where they worked, right? So that's weird. And then my mom gets pancreatic cancer, and she died, and he definitely said the type of cancer she had, how aggressive it was, and all this different stuff was definitely from smoking for so long. So it's just weird to me. I've heard like, not people I know personally, but a lot of people have dying from brain cancer. So, that's just not normal. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not something that most people just, keel over from brain cancer. So I don't know. And to me, if you think about it, when they stick that thing up your nose to test you for that virus or whatever, and a lot of people get that, they bleed.
About China virus?
Yeah, because remember, there's a teeny tiny membrane. I mean, it's very thin between your nasal passages and your brain. And if you break that, bacteria and disease and other things can get in there. You don't know what you're breathing in, right? So I would like to know how many people poke things up in there and then ended up getting brain cancer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would be interested in finding out. We'll probably never know, because I don't think the people that are in charge of our governments around the world, whatever, is going to make numbers like that for public. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sad, but to me that makes a lot of sense. If you put together what the different parts of your body does and why it performs a certain way, and if you alter it in any way, it affects it. So yeah, I don't know. It's really sad to think about it. But yeah, I don't think he'll be the last person we're going to read about either.
No, he won't. It's turned into something bigger than what it was originally. And I don't know what it is starting from. I don't know what the impetus is for the linchpin for brain cancer, but I know that I didn't give a shit about it whenever killed Senator McCain. I kind of did a victory dance. Still have to go do my victory pee on McCain's gravesite, but that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know what you're saying though, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever really find out, because I really don't think the people that can find out are going to let us. That's what I'm saying.
No, they're not.
So we'll just have to go by what little bit of research we can do on our own to find out things. Just like the government wasn't going to let us see what would happen in January 6th videos, right? All the ones that they took 4,000 hours of video. They didn't want anybody to see
40.
it. They tried.
40.
40,000?
Yep.
Oh, 40,000. Okay. But they put people through trial and didn't let them see all the evidence and crucified them, basically. They lost their jobs. They lost everything, all their money, their homes, a lot of them, and stayed in jail for years waiting to go to trial. And they didn't even get all the evidence they needed to prove if they were innocent or really guilty. Wow. We're really messed up. Our country's really going down the wrong path.
Oh, we're in bad shape. That's all there is to it.
That's why we need to watch movies like this one. We need more things to laugh at and things to uplift us, to help give us that refresher, take us out for a little bit so we have a better perspective when we go back in looking, because we took a break. And I wish more people were able to do that.
Yeah. So for those of you that are still here to listen to us talk about this movie, thank you. We do bunny trail a lot, and that's to be expected. When we're looking at this culture that you have that allows a man to go out and bond with his fellows, there's another side to it as well. There's a side where the wife or girlfriend bonds with her family while they're gone. And I'm pretty certain that there could be a hell of a good comedy as you have some ladies in Escanaba go have a night on the town. We're like, oh, Ellen, we're going to go to the bowling alley. Oh, yeah, hey. Oh, we got to go over to Chili's because they've tonight's the 2 for $20 night. And there's 4 of us. We can all eat for $40, not including drinks. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. And I think you would have an actual movie where you had women being women. And ladies, I've eavesdropped in an area before where I could hear you talk in the bathroom. You
Mhm.
couldn't hear me, you couldn't smell me, but I was there, not too far away, able to hear everything. And oh dear God, women talk worse than men.
I told you, I know. I've been in there. I've been on both sides, and I've heard it. And I've heard men in the hanging out talking about, their conquest in the weekend before and things like that. And I've heard
Yeah.
the women do the same shit. So the whole thing that came out with Trump, when they were all like, oh, over
Oh,
what
yeah.
Trump said, I
That
was
ain't
like,
nothing.
oh, come on, you
Wanna grab
guys,
'em by
give
the
me a
pussy.
break. Yeah, it's bullshit because women do that. Okay, I know they do. I've seen them, I've heard them, and I'm a woman and I do stuff like, I'm not saying exactly what I've just said, but the thing is we do it. We oogle guys. We talk about stuff like that. We talk about sex, we talk about dirty movies, we talk about all kinds of stuff.
If
So,
if if you were Thelma and you had a Louise friend and
mhm.
you found a young Brad Pitt, of course you're gonna do splitsies for the hotel so you could wet the fucking mattress with that. Of
Yeah,
course you would.
I know. So anybody that says that kind of shit doesn't happen with women, they're lying because it's just dumb. And to me, there's no reason to lie about it. That, just like I said, the good thing about that movie was the fact that it showed you a side of men that most women don't get to see. When you get to see the guys being guys hanging together, not just at football when you're like, ooh, 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 our team did this, and you're doing your little rituals while you're watching football. I'm talking about men feeding themselves, hunting, sitting around, drinking, playing cards, or whatever it is they're doing, uh, all on their own without a
Mhm.
woman there, and nowhere to order pizza from. You know what I mean? So everything out there in the cabin, the men had to do for themselves. They didn't have a woman. Weren't snapping their finger waiting for somebody to bring them a beer or a sandwich. That kind of stuff. So I think that's good. I think it's good for men to have hobbies and women to have hobbies separate from the other ones. But when you have time together, it should be your time together. You know what I mean? You shouldn't let every time you have a chance to be with your girl, or she has a chance to be with her guy, you shouldn't let your friends take the time away from the other person, because that's what I think hurts relationships. When you have your time together, you should get to use it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Um,
But let the
th-
guys have the time for themselves too. I
there
think
is there's some things that I would like to address that this movie does really well, and the majority of it all is around the male culture of the rural male that is friendly with firearms and knows how to hunt.
Mhm.
Yeah, Ruben's not good with a gun. He sucks. He really sucks. Uh, Remnar, literally, it says it in the movie, Remnar behaved as a child that was named Remnar. You would believe he would behave. Ruben, on the other hand, Ruben sucks. I mean, he's a shitty hunter, but he does finally get his buck, and we finally get this into the fold of the Brotherhood of Men that he
Mhm.
gets pulled into by his first kill, which I'm very proud of watching that, and I was happy to see that the movie ended on a high note and not go for a cheap gag like, oh, there's always next year. I was thinking that would happen,
Well, see,
but
the whole thing when they were talking, when the dad and the brother was talking to him about the different places they were allowed to hunt, and one was saying, "I want to be up on the ridge," the other one was saying, "I want to be up by the water." They're arguing about not letting anybody in their territory, and
mhm,
it's like it's 5 miles. There's plenty of room for everybody to have their own place, and they were
mhm.
trying to tell Jeff Daniels' character for him to go out by the road. Okay, so basically, to me, they were telling them, well, he'll get a deer because it'll be hit by a car or something. To me, that was, I felt bad for him because it felt like they were dissing him, to tell him to go
I
there
did.
because that's the only way he's going to get a deer is if it gets hit by a car. Is what I was thinking they were saying. So
Nope.
I didn't
I
understand.
think they had it right all along because whenever I went hunting, the one time I went hunting in Illinois,
Mhm.
I sat in a hide from sunup to like noon.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I make too much noise. Maybe I fart too much. Maybe they smell. Maybe they smell me. I know what I didn't see all day? A deer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I almost died that day because when I was climbing down the tree, the ladder rickety setup they had, the steps going up the side of the tree, one of them was not good. And I collapsed. I went down about maybe 12 feet, hit the ground, smacked my head on the ground, and my gun went off. And I'm like, I could have swore that I didn't have a bullet racked in. And we checked everything, and my uncle looked at it,
Mm-hmm.
cousin looked at the gun. No bullet should have gone off. But when I fell, apparently something gets slapped into place and bang, it goes off.
Mm-hmm.
That happens.
Shoot yourself or someone else.
Yeah, I could have shot somebody else, or I could have gotten a part of my own meat off me, and that sucked. I never want to, I never would want to wish that on anybody. That your first time doing something and that happens. So the next time I went hunting, I decided I'd go hunting with just a knife and a dog, and I went after pigs because I'm a stupid man. And I didn't realize like the inherent danger behind that. But when I saw the dog's vest that we had girded up with, the dog's vest was puncture resistant, stab resistant, like a $13,000 vest on a dog that basically was a third-rate dog according to most breeders.
Yeah.
Big pit, really good for hunting. But like the dog was immediately pacified and happy when the pigs showed themselves. He's like, I know what I'm here for. And then I realized, like, oh shit, I better go follow that dog, because if the dog is attacking the pig by itself, the pig's going to kill it.
Yeah.
And then I blacked out whenever I get to the dog and the pig. And then when I start remembering stuff, I remember cutting the ear off the pig, and like my hands are all covered in blood. It's great. And I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck happened. I pissed myself.
Because you were so excited, you think that?
Oh
That's
yeah, I had an adrenaline dump,
Yeah.
and like the fear of the fact I was going to lose my life and the dog was going to die took over,
Yeah.
and it just was like,
How old were you?
this is only like 2014, 2013, 13.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Bo were out hunting down by Kingsville. He had a friend's lease that he borrowed, and we gave him like $250 and I think 85 pounds of pig meat.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I got to carry back 35 pounds, which I filled up my freezer.
That's a lot.
And
A lot
yeah,
of meat.
that lasted a while. It was good. At Rambo hog hunting, yes, you take dogs and a knife with you. You don't take firearms, because the fucking dogs and the pigs they go round and round. If you got more dogs than pigs, it's great. If you don't have enough dogs, you better be fast. We had enough dogs. It's just that the dog I was with, he took off because he sees this pig coming in at us, and the dog like, I better get in front of this pig so these guys can get themselves together. And about 4 seconds later, I'm there, and that's when like everything goes away. I come to, and I'm like, wow, I think I killed it. And the dog's happy. He's got the pig's ear in his mouth, and oh, I just gave him the ear. What the fuck happened? And then as I'm walking back afterwards, we're getting the truck in position so we can get the sow loaded in. I realized I pissed myself. I'm like, oh shit. And I might have pooped myself too, but I didn't care. Like, that's once you have like one of those accidents, you just know you're going to get in a new change of clothes when you get back to your campsite or wherever you're going to. It's like, oh well, whatever.
You have blood all over you too, so you're gonna change when you get there. After you cut your meat all up and everything. Because that's the first thing you got to do, is make sure your meat stays good.
We only had maybe 90 minutes between the part where we had 3 pigs hauled back. And then once we got back to Bo's spot, the freezer was like right off from where the prep room was, and we just pretty much were butchering right there. And I started pulling memory from what it was like to be a butcher for Kroger, but I'd never done like a whole pig at once. I usually had done a half pig, and not pigs this size. Leave the dog home. Take the AR. Yeah, I know, right? And the cannoli.
Well, another part of the movie that I thought was really, really good, and it gave you a perspective on, even though it's a dad and it's two sons, the two sons are very different. They got very different personalities, very different ways of handling their lives and the choices that they've made for themselves. Because the one brother, when he's talking about the whole thing with the toilet paper rolls and the pool sticks, God, I thought that was great. What a fun game. And I'm going to try that the next chance I get to go to some party. That's the party game I'm going to suggest, because I thought it was awesomeness.
Take yourself. Oh, Janet, you know what you need to do? You need to go to Costco and get yourself that big pallet of toilet paper from Kirkland, and they'll
I
sell it to
thought
you
it
for
was
about
fun.
$15.
I mean, I had never seen anything like that before. I've seen tons of all kinds of, fun games to play for grown-ups, but I never saw that one. But the fact, after you see it, you don't know who these people are. You don't know who all the women are, and you don't know who all the guys are. All you know is you take the women, they put the rolled toilet paper between their legs, and the guys take the pool stick, put it up between their legs, and then they got to try to poke the toilet paper roll right from the guys towards the women. And his brother ends up getting that one girl, and she's like licking her, making faces at him, and like she's gonna
She's
tear
priming the pump, is what she's doing.
she's gonna tear his ass up, is what she was gonna do, and she wanted to really bad. And he was like, "Okay, I've had enough beer. I am gonna let her tear my ass up." Basically, is what was going on. And so when he's telling his brother about it, and she's the one that had the tongue that felt like a salmon or something, a fish tongue. Oh my God, I was
Your
laughing my butt
butter's
off
got a
on that
trout
whole
like
thing.
got a tongue like a trout.
Yeah, tongue like a trout. That was it. Oh my God, that was so funny. But the thing is that the one brother says, "What? You're married. You shouldn't do that stuff." So it was just kind of sweet to see two different brothers relating and talking about it without any women around, because so he didn't have to say anything to shame him, because there was no one there to prove he's a man and he's a good husband or whatever. He was just doing it because that's who he was. You know what I mean? That was his own personality. And he was talking to his brother about how he shouldn't do that. He goes, "I couldn't help myself," because she was she was an animal, basically.
Was
So the whole thing was
was
just
her
so
name Bunny?
I don't remember, but I just remember the whole trout thing. I just remember said, "Oh my God, I got to remember that," because that was funny. To me, that was the funniest line in the movie. The way
There's a
that,
lot of funny lines in this film.
but I love that one. I thought it was so funny because, just like I said, people are going to be themselves, especially if a little bit of alcohol is involved. It lowers your ambitions a little bit. Your inhibitions are kind of like go down. You're like, yeah, I think I might just go for that over there. It's just something that happens. It's a natural thing. And some people are better at, controlling themselves than others, depending on who's around, what's going on around, and all that. So, and his brother wasn't there, because if his brother had went, he probably would have been able to get it between him and the trout tongue girl or whatever. But he wasn't there, so he was talking about it. But and then that's when the dad kind of defended his other son, the one who was, being on the wild side, about your mother had a trout tongue. So I thought it was really good. It was another good bonding experience for the three of them. I just really thought that was good. That was a good part of the movie.
I think this movie wins a lot of points for the various ways that it goes about how men deal with each other, how men look at their goal list, and how they try to conquer it, how they try to prioritize things. I think this entire movie is basically one of those films where It's a silly, stupid little movie, but I've been talking about this with some advocate friends of mine, and their big thing with the vet community, like the veteran suicides aren't slowing down, guys. Okay, I don't know what you fuckers are doing. Apparently, somebody's only doing 21 push-ups a day, and the good ones are leaving us. The shitty ones, the commies, the Tammy Duckworths, they're not dying off fast enough. Okay, guys. So listen, I got you. I got your back, but I need you to kind of be someone's back for somebody else. And in the advocate
Right
community,
here is a great way for two vets to hang out.
yeah,
You say, hey, come on over. We're going to have some popcorn. We're going to make sandwiches.
yeah,
And we're going to watch this great movie. And we're going to laugh our ass off and have a few beers. And that is a way to get someone out of their depression and to be with somebody that cares about them,
exactly.
you know, and to bond watching this movie. Because this is a perfect movie for that type of thing.
It really is. I want to say too many people that I know are not living properly within the dash.
Mhm.
And do you know what I talk about whenever I talk about in the dash, Janet?
Mm-mm.
Okay. If you go to any cemetery in America or the world,
Mhm.
they have the name, then they have the dates. The date of your
in
birth,
between the dash.
the
Okay.
date of your death.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people don't realize they're living in the dash right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not doing things that they're either proud to be doing or happy to be doing. They're just kind of existing. Like, I know too many guys that, like, they have a day off and, like, the first thing they do is like, I'm going to do nothing. And I get it. I want to do nothing too. I want to relax, but I can't. I got to fucking, like, prepare myself for the next stint of bullshit that I've got to deal with. And so do you. But in that time, being productive is going to be better for you than you doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you want to do something, if you want to have, like me, if you want to have your name on a book, or if you want to have like something accomplished, you can't lay on your couch all day and just like through Facebook and Instagram. You got to go out and be part of the community and like go do the things that will accomplish the goals you want. These
Mm-hmm.
guys in this movie are living properly within the dash. They might not be bettering the quote unquote the community around them, but actually killing deer is something that every man should do. Every man should fucking do that, because there's too many times where people are driving to work, or they're taking their kids home from school or soccer practice, not soccer practice, baseball practice. Let's talk about a real sport, Bruce. Soccer is not a sport, Bruce. Soccer's for faggots and Europeans. Baseball's for Americans. Sorry about that. Anyway, so you're taking your kids home from baseball practice, and like all of a sudden, here comes Bambi bounding out of the fucking ditch, and you and your Dodge or your Chrysler minivan meet Bambi at 72 mile per hour, and now your van's destroyed. Your kids got a bump on their head where they actually did hit the dashboard. They bumped it. They didn't hit the dashboard really. They just hit the fucking airbag coming out. The kid in the back seat, however, he did meet the seat in front of him because he wasn't locked in. So I'm just saying, like, killing deer is a great way for you to spend time. If you have the means and the ability to go kill deer and take a person with you to go help you kill more deer, you should go kill deer, because you're preventing Bambi from getting in some housewife's way with her minivan loaded with kids that don't know how to use a seatbelt. Um, I like the way I segue into that. I should remember that one. Anyway, so you do these things, and you're living properly within the dash because you're actually bettering the community around you, even though nobody knows what you're doing. The fact that you're taking miserable deer out of the circulation, they're not going to be jumping out of the ditches onto the highway and stare stupidly as the headlights approach and the crumple of chrome and plastic happens as the airbags deploy. They're not doing that. You've got the deer in your deep freeze. That's what needs to happen more. More vets need to be available for other vets. And I actually, you could broaden that and say more people just need to make themselves available to their friends and family.
Yeah.
Be a good human. If you know somebody's going through shit, like at least take fucking 10 seconds out of your day and say, hey, how are you holding up? And let them answer. Maybe they'll fucking disregard it, but maybe you are going to give them the way to open a door so they can unload verbally instead of unload and pull a Kurt Cobainism. I miss Kirk. I really do. Now that I can actually listen to his music without hearing it 70,000 times a day.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kirk. You're just too popular for your own good. I wasn't ever going to listen to your shit while you were alive. I got to say that I really do think that more people just need to open that door. And a movie like this kind of shows you that guys need to get back to being guys and go out and do guy things. This is a movie
Well,
where
it's not just that. It's the fact that I see so many people, men and women, going out and doing things that aren't them. You know, they're not being themselves. They're trying to pretend to be something they aren't. And over time, you get lost. You know, you don't know who you are anymore. You're wandering around going, why do I feel like shit? Why am I sad? Why am I lonely? Why am I, you're saying why all the time, when most of the time when you're looking in the mirror, you're not even looking at yourself. You're looking at somebody you want to be. You know what I mean? That type of thing. And I just wish, like you were saying about, looking for a job to change your life a little bit. Maybe you make some more money or make some different choices to change it a little bit because you're thinking about what's best for you and your family. You know what I mean? So you're trying to make adjustments to make things a little bit better for your family. You see? Yeah. So that's you making those decisions. But when you're running around and spending all your time and effort just trying to fit in and be the most popular person or whatever, on this app or
oh my God, Janet was on Instagram earlier today and she had these fake computerized glasses on, and that bitch got 75 likes in an hour. She must have gone off and shared it on some Muslim Facebook page or something, because every one of them is from India.
About. That exact thing. And people do it. People do that. That's one reason why I don't have Facebook, and it's bad enough that I have Instagram and stuff, but I just get on there and share my videos and then I leave. I don't hang out on them. I spend more time on YouTube with you guys than I do on anything else, and at home.
I feel kind of blessed about that.
But
I don't know about the rest of them in here, but hearing Janet say that she spends more time with us than on Facebook, that makes me happy inside.
Well, I don't even have Facebook. I got rid of it a long time ago because I didn't like who it was that owned it. And I hated the way that I was treated differently than someone else just because I'm a conservative person. I don't believe in some of the stupid shit that certain people are trying to cram down my throat. I'm a Christian, but I don't go around cramming it down everybody's throat. I don't expect everyone to be a Christian and believe the same way I do. So what I mean is I just wish more people could just be themselves, like the characters in this movie. You know what I mean? And they pushed that whole thing. And that's what the movie, to me, what drew me in was the fact that it was so authentic. Just down to the cabin, the way they talked to each other, how excited he was when his brother and his dad and their friend agreed to make all those changes about their rituals because they knew they probably weren't going to get a deer now. And they're sacrificing that for him. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. The whole movie was all about that. It was about sacrifices each of them made for each other. And then when he's in his trance, because he drank all that, whatever it was, we didn't even know what they drank because his Indian wife sent all the different, spells in the porcupine pea and just everything in these jars and had them and passed them out. And he did the little ritual where he was reading off the words, whatever, and he was walking around the fire and stuff. It was just, I just thought it was sweet because he loved his wife enough to wear that trinket around his neck, okay, for her. and to have faith in what she was trying to tell him. You're going to get one this time if you just believe this time. So I guess for some reason he decided to be a believer this night. And when all of them joined in with him, even though they said, I'm not going to drink this stuff, the dad, and they were talking to each other, they still participated to make him feel like it was okay, that they accepted him. And see, that to me, I just thought that was great, because that just proved that even though it was they thought it was weird or wimpy or whatever they thought, they still did it. Just like that movie I keep bringing up a lot about Lars and the Real Girl.
I knew that was coming.
Okay, well, see, it's true, though. It's true. When you love someone, you're willing to do things that you probably would never do on your own, but you're going to do it for this person because you care about them and you want to see them be successful, or you want to see them pass this point in their life, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what they did, even though they were like, this is bullshit. And he spits it out, the dad and stuff, but they did it anyways, right? They sacrificed their time and what they would normally do, because they wanted him to get a buck so bad. And they felt that if he just believed in himself, that he would be able to do it. And by them doing that, it did help him. He believed in them. He believed in himself, just like what happened in that other movie. That whole thing, it's about how other people treat you and help you through things too. So see, it had a lot of different aspects in this movie, and I really did like it. I really did. It had a really good story, a very grounded story, but it showed what it could really be like in a family dynamics if they cared about each other.
And I think it's really important to illustrate that, because this movie does a very good job of dealing with family issues better than any other Fast and Furious movie has yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
It's all about family. I think is so many people have said before, this is a cute little sleeper of a film that not many people are going to experience. And of the people that watch it, probably only 60% of them are going to really understand it, because the other people are going to look at it and they're going to be in disbelief, like, nah, people can't be living like this. And they're going to spin themselves up thinking about that, because these are men that are celebrating the death of a woodland animal. How dare you? And those same people have never had to call State Farm at 4 p.m. and be on a hold for 48 minutes and explain to them that, yeah, I just killed another Bambi. It's my 4th one this year. Do I get a discount on my insurance? Oh, it goes up another $100 a month. Thanks, State Farm.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really funny too about this movie was when the ranger shows up.
Okay? Oh my God.
And he added a little bit more comedic stuff to throw around in the cabin, basically.
Yes.
Because the whole time he was there, it was basically one room with all 4 of them in there.
All
right?
4 men, one room, and there was nowhere to run as an audience member.
No, you were just stuck, and they were like sitting there, and the camera angles is one another thing that I really liked about this whole scene. Was
this movie was really inventive with its cinematography. I got to give him a lot of credit.
I thought the directorial part of it and I think he directed it too. Let me see. Yes, he was a producer. Yeah. He was the writer of the script, and he was the director. So, that's right. When we saw some of the outtakes, you got to see him while he was running and looking out the window and stuff through the cabin. He was like, "Okay, keep that shot," or whatever. He was actually directing as he was acting. Now that's one of the things I wanted to bring up real quick. It said that here it is on this side. The part of Reuben Sodi was originally written for fellow Purple Rose actor. Remember, I told you he opened this theater in his town, in his hometown. His CMU alum Keith Titus.
I don't know who Keith Titus is, and I think there's a link there for Keith Titus, and I didn't see a single thing that I knew that Keith Titus was in.
No, you got to remember, this is a play guy from plays. Yeah. Okay. That's who he wanted to be, the character that he played. but
Mhm.
something he declined to do it, so he went ahead and stepped in.
My bad. Keith Titus does not have a hyperlink.
Mhm.
My bad.
But the whole scene with this Barney Fife kind of character, because that's who he
Ranger
reminded
Tom.
me of. From the moment he walked in the door, I was thinking of Gomer Pyle and Barney Fife, dum-dums, you know what I mean? Kind of the
Mhm.
goofy, dummy, blank look on their face type of character, which I don't know. To me, it was like as soon as he came in and he started doing the swing low, sweet chariot, I was like, oh my God, here comes the slapstick. And I was pretty spot on about that whole thing because it was funny. But the thing is, when they did the flash to show you what happened to him and why he was traumatized, was another alien adventure where he's walking through the woods and his bright lights are coming, and he's like freaking out, and then he has no sense of time and all that, and he ends up at their cabin. It was almost like it was set up, like it was a setup by the aliens to make sure he was there, at that moment or something. But it was funny. I laughed a lot about the whole thing. And then the scene, like I said, when the camera's up above him looking down, which they usually do with a ladder, they get the ladder set up and then they look down. Yeah, that it's just hilarious.
This is great.
I know, it was just funny because that's all acting. They didn't have, like in Tremors, when we were watching Tremors and the whole house is shifting and stuff. You actually had, jacks. It's up off the ground, and they had people underneath doing things, right? And even in that Star Trek episode that we watched, the guy under the table that was pushing the thing up when he opened the door,
Mhm.
with the little
The
finger.
microscope came up.
Yeah, so
The-
he had a behind the scenes prop person making sure that worked. And same thing, I'm sure, with the doors and all the other stuff. But on this one, you could tell that it was very limited amount of people that they had to do different things in this movie when they made it. But the scene where you could tell they're up on a ladder or something with the camera angle looking down, and you have the dad and his two sons and the friend that speaks nothing but gibberish looking up at the camera, right? And over the shoulder, and you see the side of the guy's face and stuff, and he's singing, that swing low. But the whole time they're watching him, he's taking off his clothes. Okay. And then you see him you see the guys just watching the guy trying to understand or absorb what the hell's going on in front of them, because they've been drinking a lot because they were playing the card game, and they were drinking beer after beer after beer, right? And then here comes this ranger, and he's got struck by lightning, or he got abducted by aliens. We don't know, and he's telling the story about the best he could to them, and they're like, okay, I'm sure they've heard many of them, because he said it happens a lot, that people see aliens or bright lights, and they have loss of time, and, just all the different stuff. It was just funny. I was laughing through all of this stuff. So it was good. But the look of their faces while they're looking up at the camera, and that's all acting too. See that there isn't any cues or anything. You don't see anything happening except for the facial expressions of all the people watching the guy stripping and singing. So I just thought it was great that the dad, like, looking at him like another dingleberries in our cabin, basically. And then the other brother just going, I'm gonna have to kick the shit out of you. You're almost thinking for them, about what, by their facial expressions, you're putting words in your head for each of them. At least that's what I was doing. And then you see the gibberish guy, and he's just absorbing the information. Like he understands everything he's doing. You know what I mean? It was like he had a connection with this guy because he was abducted by aliens too. And he's now just can't stop singing. He's like become a walking show tunes or whatever. And then you got Daniel's just going, something bad's about to happen. He's got that look on his face. So I just was laughing my butt off just looking at the four of them and the camera angles and stuff. And then the camera would swap. Okay. And then you'd see him taking his clothes off. But what you don't realize when they're filming this stuff, they usually have, and I'm sure they only had one camera because it looked like it was edited together, and the editing was excellent in this movie. I mean, they did a really good. The editing was awesome with all of it. To me, I thought I didn't see any mistakes that I noticed in the editing. But you got to remember when you film scenes, especially with multiple people in them, you do different camera angles if you have them, if you have multiple cameras. But if you only have one camera, you have to film looking down and see their faces, and this guy acting out whatever he's
Another
going
was
to do by taking off his
all of a
clothes,
sudden,
right?
he could drink like a
Then
fish.
you have the other guy, the guys doing whatever they're doing, and then they have to stop, move the camera around, okay, get it all set up again, and everyone do the exact same thing, because this time it's from a different angle, but you have to edit it together to make it look like it's all symmetrical. See, so
Watching Rimner right here get ready.
mhm.
Ooh, look what I got, eh?
He put a hole in it with a knife.
The Jimmer had become a living legend. And not because he'd been abducted. We get 2 or 3 of those a year.
We get 2 or 3 of those a year. See,
It was his capacity for drinking that spread through all the water and holes in the UP.
I love that. I love that, and I didn't mean to fuck that scene up and put all the text there, but watching those two interact with each other as he cuts it open, like that he became a
he's
living
gonna
legend up
chug
in
it.
parts of the
Yeah,
UP.
because he was gonna make him chug it. Yeah, that was a good one too. But that's what I said. You know that they had to reinforce that roof
Yes.
because it looked like they were really up off the ground on the roof. And when you have multiple people walking around, because it's not just the
No.
2 guys you see, there's a cameraman up there too.
Not only that, but there's one thing you're forgetting, Janet.
Mm-hmm.
This is a roof in Michigan by the lake.
It has a lot of
And
stuff on it.
so you've got to have it able to hold ice and snow.
Mhm.
And ice isn't usually that bad, or snow isn't usually that bad, but you get an inch of ice on your
Wet snow
roof,
is pretty heavy.
and it'll weigh it down. It'll collapse your roof.
Mhm.
If it's
But
not
you gotta
well
remember,
reinforced.
there's probably a boom person up there and the camera person. Now I don't know if there was a person holding cables or whatever else too, but there was, you see 2 or 3 people that are just doing just the camera stuff. And
And
it
don't
looked like
forget-
daylight, so I don't know if they had to have any lighting or anything like that.
No, I don't think they had any lighting. This
You
looks
had
like
to
a
have
bare
a-
bones movie.
You had to have a boom though, and you had to have the cameraman at least up there.
Probably had a guy with a reflective panel that would help angle the light so you could get the proper shading and tone.
Yeah,
on the person.
maybe. Just depends. But it was a good scene, and I knew that the roof had to be really strong because it was multiple times they climbed up and down off the roof. So
Yeah, I imagine 3 foot of snow and my dick goes into my stomach, buddy. Says, nope, not coming out till spring. Nope, I've seen this before.
but yeah, I just thought that the ranger guy showing up was kind of funny in the way that they did it. And then they all decided they're going to go to bed, okay? And the ranger's wearing his boxers and a t-shirt, and his shoes and socks, and everybody's in bed. And that's when I guess Jeff Daniels' character starts having that, like trance or whatever. Because the whole time he's doing all that, I was thinking as it was progressing that he was dreaming and he hadn't even left to go to deer camp yet, is what I was thinking. So I didn't know because, I'd never seen it. You'd already seen it before, but I was just watching it, trying to absorb it and understand what was going on and whether they really did see the lights and the aliens are here, all the breathing and the pounding, like there was a whole bunches of, because I was really getting worried that there was a grizzly bear going to tear in to them, in the cabin, or if it was just really a bunch of deer standing around out there, a bunch of deer looking for, does because of all the urine they were poured. They poured like gallons and gallons of pee all over the guy. It was funny. I mean, it really was funny.
As Grandpa Alfonso has said, anything free is worth saving up for.
Mm-hmm. Save it up.
So, for you that have seen this movie in the chat,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what your scores are. Either thumbs up, thumbs down, percentile score like I like it, A, B, please, whatever report card. Let me know what you think of Escanaba and the Moonlight. What I want to know what you thought of this movie, because this is a really, like, Janet has been on a tear lately. I always hear from her about like how we need to talk about more not mainstream movies, not mainstream,
Independent.
more independent films.
To give
This
us different
definitely
perspectives.
qualifies.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
This is a qualifier of a small independent film if it ever came to it. Like, I would have loved to have been at South by Southwest when this debuted. I'm sure that Daniel's got a fucking round of applause, and I'm sure afterwards that he went somewhere up like Deep Eddies and had some really bad vodka, because that's all Deep Eddies makes. But and that's an Austinism right there. But this movie, I really liked it. This is my second time watching it, and I really think this is one of those films that you bring your family out to see this, or you get them a chance to see this film, and they are just kind of like, where was this at? I have the International Film Channel. I never saw this on here.
I was really surprised to get to watch this, because I've heard Jeremy talk about it, 5, 6, 7 times in different chats about how he wanted us to watch it. And I'd never heard of it, but I never looked it up either. I never had the time or remembered to look it up or whatever until he brought it up again. And then I was always doing this, so I was too busy. But to actually get to watch it finally and go, my God, how did I miss this movie? How come not one person told me about it? Because I thought it was really, really well done. I mean, I thought the location people, whoever did the locating of where they wanted to film it, it had to have the cabin, it had to have the woods around it, but it had to have enough room for other people to park, because you got to remember, they got to go out there each day and have Crafty out there and have all the workers for the batteries, for the cameras, all the different stuff that they need, the props, makeup, wardrobe, just so many things that you just don't even think about when you're watching a movie. But all that had to be out there somewhere, and you had to be able to film and not see all the vehicles and not see all the people and not see all the shoe prints. And, it's just a lot of stuff there that people don't realize. But also, after it's all finished, you still have to go back and put the movie together. You got to add the music. You got to make sure the soundtrack is good. You got to make sure the editing is good. So if there's mistakes, and that they can splice it together and fix anything that they find wrong with it. So they did a great job, because to me, whoever he picked to do the editing was excellent. I mean, they did it. I couldn't find anything wrong with it. I looked and looked and thought back, and I had to watch it 3 or 4 times. I might see more, but just like the dissection that I already did to it about the characters' interactions, and the way the cabin was set up, and the way they hovered around the fire watching him perform the ritual, to drink the drinks that had what was it, testicles in it and stuff. It was just so funny. I mean, it was just very, very good. It was like that Jeff Daniels really thought about this. I mean, he really spent a long time thinking about every detail that he wanted and he needed to get his point across. Now, it did go way crazy a few times, like with the ranger guy, because the movie to me would have been just as good without the ranger in it at all.
That's the only negative on this movie for me.
But I thought it was, I could see why he would put it in there, because remember, when it was the father, right, telling the story?
Yep.
Okay. So when the father was talking about, there's been other abductions, that happens 3 times a year, and then he talks about people getting in trouble, getting too many deers, things like that. And what's every hunter's fear?
Not shooting it.
It's not getting caught with a buck that doesn't have enough points, or shooting a doe when it's buck season, all those little things, right?
The little
So
stuff. My bad.
everybody's afraid of the ranger, but then this ranger shows up and he's Barney Fife. So, it backfired on what you would think, the big mean ranger showing up, to make sure you have your licenses or whatever. And this guy had gotten abducted by aliens or something, and he was all messed up. So was they. They were all messed up because remember, they're all playing cards and they're all seeing 4s, 2s, and numbers that they're not supposed to have, right, on the cards. So it was like a dream that all of them were having, but they were all having different parts of the same dream. You know what I mean? Because of the messed up whatever drugs that she put in their shakes and stuff that they weren't eating. Remember, they didn't have no food.
Nope.
He didn't bring anything to eat. All he brought was the shakes. So they're drinking like fish and drinking these weird whatever shakes. And that one guy was drinking the porcupine piss too. And they're pouring this all over themselves, so who knows what kind of weird stuff was going on in their body, because they were like basically fasting, not eating, drinking up like fish, which is normal, but not eating to absorb the alcohol and stuff. So it's amazing.
Oh, trust me, when you're up north and you're drinking a Linden Kugels, you're finding a way to get a few pretzels in you to help soap it up.
But it was just funny because they had worked so hard at helping him be successful to get his deer. But now for the rest of his life, they can never say you never got one. For the rest of his life, indeed. Now he's equal with them, even though he hadn't had as many, but now he's equal. And but the only sad thing is that next year when they go back, they have to do the whole thing again with the testicles and the porcupine piss. Are they going to be forced to do that again, or is he just going to do it? Because now he's believing that all that worked, right? Just like the brother saying, I wore this shirt every year and I haven't washed it, since he was a kid, all this kind of stuff. Because it's just like football. All the guys think you have to do this, this, and this, or it's not going to work. You know what I mean? Every one of you guys do that. And I know some women that do that are real big sports fans. My mom was one of them. Baseball.
Your buddy Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken.
Oh, hello.
He wants you to turn the lights on, Janet.
Down to the Sunday supper table, surrounded by sodies.
Behind me?
We huddled and gathered ourselves.
Okay, hold on. I got to get my thing on. It took a second for it to absorb.
And if you want to go to heaven,
which one does he want me to turn on?
At a bridge.
Like this?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing. I'll be able to look at it.
Pretty.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah, they're pretty. I forgot about turning them on after we got started talking about the movie.
Oh, that happens.
But the thing is, I just thought it was great. I really did. And my score, do you want me to give you my score now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I decided to give it a 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4? Mm-hmm. That's pretty respectable. That really is.
Because all the work that I know went into this, how well the actors work together to be successful, to get their characters across and be believable, which is a dad and 2 brothers and their crazy friend that was abducted by aliens, and his Chevy took a shit. So I just thought it was really good. I thought it was very funny, very entertaining. I enjoyed it. It took me away from, what was it, an hour and 40 minutes or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Hour and a half. It took me away from all my problems. So
hour and 31 minutes.
What a movie's supposed to be? Entertainment.
Yeah, it's entertainment.
And that, to me, it filled in all those things for me.
It filled in all your cracks then.
Yeah, that's right. Filled in all my cracks. I thought it was really, really good. Very entertaining. And I want to tell Jeremy, thank you so much for hounding us until we finally watched it. It was good.
Little Jeremy, I'm not trained to say little Jeremy. Anyway, Jeremy, soy-based Jeremy, says 6.5 out of 10. And as an added note, the Youpers hated Jeff Daniels. Then the movie grew on them.
Hmm.
Internet subscriber, Six Nation, 31 Kings, 75%. It was an extremely well done little film. I enjoyed it and could see a series done on the adventures of those Yoopers. Well worth a watch. Also, that's Jeff's personal cabin, by the way. Then Phil McCracken talks about how the lights are not twinkling. We get a allegory to kind of like what Kevin Smith did for the people of New Jersey, because usually most people in New Jersey are just trying to escape New Jersey, but they never make it out.
Hmm. Well, one thing I wanted to say was this movie reminded me a lot of Grumpy Old Men.
It does.
Not because of where they were or any of that stuff. The way the guys treated each other in Grumpy Old Men, they were always bashing each other, and putting each other down, picking on each other and all that stuff. But they loved each other.
Yeah.
You could see that they had a good bond. I mean, they were very, they would do anything for each other, basically, is what I
really
felt.
would.
And that's how I started feeling for the brothers and the dad, because to see the brother not do the rituals, and even though he told his brother, I wore this shirt every single time since I was 9 years old, whatever. And he goes, and I've never washed it, and I've done this, and it's fallen apart. Basically, it looked like rags, like he just threw it over because it was so old, falling apart, that he gave all that up for his brother. I just thought that was just, because I know you heard me a few times going, oh my God, that's so sweet, things like that. And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking about the sacrifices that the brother and dad made for his son and their brother, because they wanted him so bad to understand what it was like to have that moment, manly moment where he gets to throw the buck on his shoulder and take it home and says, "This cook me up some food, woman," because I brought home the bacon, that type of thing. And I just loved it. I thought that was really, really, really great, that whole thing. So
I love how this movie worked out. We're in Delaware. Stand on guard to the river to keep your lives and home safe from the New Jersey horde. Ooh, those New Jersey hordelings, they're bad. Reminds me of my brother and I'm obviously Rimnar, always teasing my older brother. Papa Cotton. Hello, Siri. Hello, sir. How are you today? My dad would be the father because he was dangerous.
Yeah, that was good. I liked the dad. I don't know who he was. He looked kind of familiar, but I couldn't.
Wait, you don't know who the dad was?
He looked familiar, but he's older now, because I'm sure I know who he was
now.
when he was young. Oh, I'm sorry. But what else was he in? He just looked very familiar to me.
He's in a movie, a little film with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Face Off.
He was in Face Off? What character did he play?
He was a police commissioner.
I don't know. I'd have to.
Oh, God.
Watch it.
That.
Oh, that picture, the side point of view. Now I remember him.
Yeah.
Why didn't I recognize who he was?
I have no idea. In his younger days, he was a strapping young lad. Peter Noni and Harv Presnell. Mm-hmm. Look at those men. That's real men right there. Yes. Harv Presnell was once again in a movie called The Pretender. Fine film. In 1964, he was a strapping young lad with Hermione Baddeley, Ed Begley, and Carrie Fisher's mommy.
Yeah, I don't remember that movie.
I know this movie because my mother forced me to watch The Unsinkable Molly Brown. Even before I saw that, I knew it was The Unsinkable Molly Brown. I just didn't realize he was in it.
No, I don't remember him at all when he was young. Now, see, he looks familiar there.
Every time there's a movie set up in the North, I'm going to be in it.
Maybe it was just the way that he talked or something that I go, God, he looks so familiar. But just like the brother was familiar to me too, but I couldn't place what he was in.
Okay. He was an Andy Barker PI.
Hmm.
Another shot of Andy Barker PI. They really do love that movie. Say again?
He was in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was in some great stuff.
Mhm.
Don't
No,
have a
I
whole lot of photos of the guy. I mean,
don't remember him when he was really young.
he was
I
one of the best. Oh shit, he's also fucking General Marshall in Saving Private Ryan.
Hmm.
My favorite role he was in though was in Face Off because John
I
Travolta
love Face Off.
kills
That's a
him
good movie.
in Face Off.
Mm-mm.
Victor Lazaro. We'll have to put this movie on our list.
Yeah, I have that movie. I have the DVD for it.
I think I have the DVD of it too. Joan Allen. Oh my God, what a lovely lady. Wow, that's Dominique Swain now? Hubba hubba. And Gina Gershon. Oh my God, she hit the wall really fast. It's not good. Don't look directly at her. You'll cry, young man. You'll cry. All right. Yeah, he was also in Fargo. Fargo is a great movie. That we'll have to watch that too. I hate having to reserve more. We have so many movies to watch, Janet.
I told you we'll never run out of movies. I mean,
No.
just so many of them. It's shocking how many movies we haven't seen. You know what I mean? It's just really it's amazing to me how many movies there are. Like this one, I still can't believe I have never seen this movie.
This is a great movie.
Yesterday.
So I guess I'm going to ask you this question.
Hmm.
Next Monday is Christmas.
Yep.
Do you want to do a show on Christmas or do you want to not?
I don't think we should do it on Christmas. I think people should be with their families.
Fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. I
Well, I've invited my niece and my nephew and their daughter, the one I've talked about a few times.
Mhm.
They're coming over to my house for Christmas, so
Ooh.
I'm gonna have
Keep
them
your TikToks open, kids, because Janet's gonna be sucking down the eggnog.
Well, they have a new
Turn on the
baby.
camera.
During all the stuff that happened to their daughter, she got pregnant. She was pregnant again. So, which is good because a lot of people don't, that kind of thing happening in your family would cause you to have marital problems. You know what I mean?
I get it.
So they have a new baby because of it. She just turned 2. So I'll get to play with her too. So that'll be nice. But it'd be nice. But it's Christmas.
There is something I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, 2 things I want to talk about because we've talked about a little bit of Star Trek Continues.
Mm-hmm.
And Star Trek Continues is a fan film or fan series that was funded. The first episode was funded wholly by the lead actor and director Vic Mignogna. Vic Mignogna, my bad. He's a very nice man out of Houston. There's probably some scandal on about him from me too, because he's a man and he has a dick, and he had a very pretty girlfriend that starred in this show, and they broke up in 2018. But whatever. This movie,
the redhead, the
Yep.
one with the red bouffant wig, him and her were
with
dating.
the big red bouffant wig, yes. Every Sunday, starting at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, we will be adjourning. I will open the gathering portal in Discord for those that want to watch Star Trek Continues. We're going to be starting session episode 3. There's 11 episodes total, so For those of you that are not doing anything on Christmas Eve at 5 p.m., come on into the Discord. We'll be watching Star Trek Continues probably till 9 p.m. And then afterwards, we'll talk. When I was watching it last night, I got emotional. I had to turn my microphone off, and I just cried because there's very few times where you see something that reminds you of a lost love. And that's just how I feel whenever I read old Star Trek, the role-playing game books by West End Games. That's how I feel when I watch old episodes of Star Trek that my dad and I just absolutely couldn't get enough of, like Devil in the Dark or the Doomsday Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Menagerie is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Menagerie has so many aspects which correlate to what events are going on today in social media. It's miserable. But anyway, I think Star Trek Continues is something that I'm trying to put a set of eyeballs on it. And it's really worth watching just based off the first 2 episodes. I'm going to watch it all the way through, probably multiple times. I've got my dad to watch the first couple shows of it. Hopefully, he'll be in this Discord with it. He liked it a lot. He's like, that was really good. I said, wasn't it? And he's like, it sounds like Star Trek. It looks like Star Trek. I'm like, it is.
It feels like Star Trek.
Yeah, it has that same feeling, that same low tech, but it's the future feeling that the original series has.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can feel the I don't know, it's like when Lou Ferrigno was talking in the after outtakes about telling people to please help donate and stuff so they could feel more. You could feel the love they had for Star Trek, not their show, but for the overall Star Trek vibe. You know what I mean? That affected them too when they were young, and they
Lady,
just
have
want
your night, sir.
life. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't know. I just don't understand why companies that own this stuff don't watch any of the fan-made stuff and get ideas about what fans want.
I think they do. I think the guys that basically do have an ability, probably guys closer to the top than the bottom, have a chance to watch it because they pulled a lot of people to come and be part of like the Comic-Con, be at the Star Trek booth for us, be part of this. We're asking you to get in your costume and just do this. And that happened a lot.
You're saying from the original series, and the Star Trek Next Generation and stuff, and Deep Space Nine, that the people making that,
there's a lot of people from
that work for the company and that produce these shows are the ones that ask people to go to these cons and stuff. Is that what you're saying? Or are you talking
I'm saying that like not only did the people that are affiliated with the actors that are part of the Star Trek canon, and I mean before 2009, they watched this and they got involved. Like Q, I forget what his name is, John DeLancey, I think. He gets involved with Star Trek Continues. And there's a few other actors that are from the Next Generation that get involved with it as well, and they take on small parts. The guy that was in the original series played Apollo. He reprised his role as Apollo in the first episode, and that was really good. I love that first episode. Lilani is amazing, and I really think that's kind of like a moment when I was watching a show and something happened, and that kind of took me by surprise that she actually did what she did towards the end. I wasn't expecting her to do that at all, but the fact that everybody seems to love and respect the franchise, the name, the brand. There's obviously some not so great actors in it, but there's a lot of people that love Star Trek that are part of this. And I'm so happy to be able to watch it. my dad got me on the couch watching Star Trek when I was 4. He's like, "Come here, we're gonna watch this show." And that was my life on Sunday nights. After the news, you watch Star Trek, and then at 11:35 you go to bed. That was on Channel 3. So we really kind of bonded over that. That was just part of my life growing up till I was in my 20s. You know, if we have the ability to watch Star Trek, something Star Trek, we're going to. We never watched the Discovery or Picard together, but that was before, before all that garbage came out. We did like the first 2009 Star Trek together. We thought that was good. Which in isolation, those movies are great. For just I want to eat popcorn and watch special effects, they're good. They're not really quote unquote Star Trek. I don't care. Some people didn't like Generations. I'm one of those guys. But Star Trek Continues is one of those shows that's fan made and they love the franchise. Not enough people talked about it when it was being made. And obviously they can't make any money from it, but I would really want Vic and that crew that made that to experience some form of windfall at some point. Now, Vic is a hell of a voice actor. He does great. Grant Imahara's gone. You know, he's passed. There might be some other members of the cast that are gone, but I mean, like, that's just something. When I started watching that with us yesterday, like, I was just kind of overcome because I've very rarely seen a franchise get loved and respected years after so many other things have changed. And the only thing I can compare this to is the Cobra Kai series. Cobra Kai is the closest to this, except for the fact that Cobra Kai is making money. They're going to make a fuck ton of money with Cobra Kai over at Netflix. But
that's because, just like I said, the people that own Star Trek now, even though so many people love the fan stuff because they you can tell they love it, even though it's not perfect. They don't care. The fans like watching it because it feels like real Star Trek. Just like you said, when we watched it, it was like we were actually getting to watch. And I was trying to tell people bitch and complain, oh, we don't want a remake, we don't want this, we don't want fakes in there. But you can sit and watch this, even though you know they're not the real original people. But you can see how well they want to be, how well they play the characters because it's original. So I mean, it's an original Star Trek show. Okay, and they love the show, the sets, the people behind the scenes. Everybody's so dedicated to the show. That's why it's good. The story writers, everything about it makes it good. And they don't try to be that character. You know what I mean? They're not like pretending to take their place by like when Jim Carrey would talk like William Shatner, and he'd overemphasize, and he did. It's funny, but if each of those actors tried to act like that and overact, it would ruin the show. But the fact that they are just being the character, you know what I mean? They're just stepping in like you would be a Shakespearean actor on a play. Today you're this person, tomorrow you're going to be that person. They stepped into the role and they're playing that role, and they're doing a great job. And it's good and it works, you know. And so I can accept them each as the different characters that I grew up watching, simply because they are those characters for me when I'm watching that episode. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else, but because I do love Star Trek, so to me, I can accept them as the people they portrayed, even though they're not the originals, because I know the originals can't stay young forever, you know. And I just thought it was great. I thought both the episodes I get to watch were just really phenomenal. And it's sad that they don't love Star Trek as much as the fans do. Sad, but if they could have a huge success if they would just go and gather a lot of these young people that are writing all these screenplays and doing different aspects of these fan films, or fan shorts or whatever it is that they're doing, and say, hey, we really like what you guys are doing. We're putting a team together to write some new Star Trek. And they would have a hit. I know they would if they listened to these people. They just don't want to. They don't want to share the screen with anyone's names up there besides theirs, no matter how bad it is. That's sad. That tells me they don't love it. Like
I think they're spelling ruin for themselves. I've had my microphone on mute this whole time and I've been talking.
Oh,
It's okay. I think it's just amazing to see how all of this, like, you can hear people talk about Star Trek Continues, and they're kind of sad that the people that made it didn't make any money, but the fan base and I'm going to slam on Star Trek for a second. The new fans of Discovery and Picard are not fans of the original series, nor will they ever be. So I'm not going to consider them to be humane or humans. They're infiltrators. They're like termites. You kill termites. You put some termiticide at the foundation. It fixes it anyway.
mm-hmm.
The people who like this show like what happened before 2009 and 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people that have seen this really like it, but it didn't get a lot of play because it's not a canonical show, except for something that needs to be made mention. The son of Gene Roddenberry said, "This is canon."
Mm-hmm.
He said that the episodes he's watched would fit perfectly within his dad's vision, and they should.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give a shit what Kurtzman does. I don't care what the D&D crew do to screw up the Star Trek franchise. I treat Star Trek like I treat Star Wars. Back in the day before 2009, perfectly fine franchise, perfectly enjoyable. Watch it with no shame. Call me a geek. I don't give a shit. But now both are tainted and they've been polluted, and there's people in there that don't love the name that it had, and they want to see the new version of it take off and strangle the old version and commit geriatricide, basically, the elder abuse of the previous version. And I'm pretty much okay with never giving anybody that speaks like that any airtime. They don't matter to me. They're fucking cultural terrorist, and I don't give a shit.
Remember what I said when we did Galaxy Quest?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, if the people writing Star Trek wanted the energy and stuff that Galaxy Quest had, all they have to do is love Star Trek. That's all they have to do is read it, watch it, and enjoy it the way we did. Okay. And it would be good. They could actually put something together that other people would like. But to me, when I watch some of the stuff they've made, it's like they hate everything about it. Every single thing about it they absolutely hate, or they wouldn't write it so shit. It's terrible. And I feel sorry for the actors that are trying to portray something that's so bad. If the actors went and watched the old series, the original series, 2 seasons or whatever, and tried to understand what's coming across to them and see it that way, and then realize when they sit down with the script that they're handed for this new series and go, this isn't Star Trek, they would understand what we're trying to tell them, and then they could maybe wake someone up. I don't know what else to do. Because it's just a war, it's just a war between the fans and the people that own what we love. They own the rights of something, and they do nothing but taking scissors and just cutting it up right in front of us. And there's nothing we can do about it.
Despite the fact that Lower Decks isn't that bad, I really don't watch it a whole lot. I'll watch it if it's on.
Mhm.
That's about it. I don't seek it out. Now I'll seek out the animated series from the 60s or 70s every day. That was fun.
Mhm.
Clobby and Rachel covered Star Trek from the original season, Enterprise, all the way up into Deep Space Nine.
Mhm.
And they started covering other stuff. That's the only canon I worry about.
Yeah, I love
Star Trek
Deep
continues. I
Space Nine
go.
too. They still had, I mean, it wasn't perfection or anything, but neither was the original series.
No, the original series
Loved
had
it
some
with all
failures.
the faults in it too. See,
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that we can accept it with its faults, if they would just try to be true to the what Star Trek is. And that's what I said. Oh my God, this is awesome. It was really, really good to watch it. And then to see the outtakes. And that's what I said. If I had the means to do it, that's what I would do. I would say, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the normal fundraising or whatever for it to get the next season up and running or whatever. But after that, we're going to invite people, the highest bidders, like have like, how all these politicians have these giant $5,000 a plate steak dinners, right?
Yes.
And you schmooze with each other and have a few drinks and you listen to music or whatever and you dress up. Why not have something like that? And then at that event, for Star Trek, like a Comic-Con type event where people dress up or whatever and bring and invite fans to it. Okay. Then you say, okay, we're going to have an auction and the top 5 the people that donate and have something to give them or whatever, to all the way down to the lowest people that donate money, but the top 5 are going to get to pick. We're going to pick you at random and you get to come, you get to be an extra on the show, and you can watch how we make the whole thing, one whole episode, and they'll be involved in getting to watch it being made behind the scenes. That would be something that people would pay money, big bucks for. People pay thousands of dollars for a teeny tiny artifact that was on a set or, things. Why wouldn't they want to pay to see something like that made come to life and how it's all done behind the scenes? I think people would pay to do it. And I think you could pay for everything you needed just to give somebody those experiences. Every year for 10 years, I went to the Star Trek experience in Las Vegas by myself. I'd go from my hotel, ride the tram or walk or whatever, how I could get down there and go down there and go in and spend 6.5 hours doing exactly what I did last year. I mean, and get abducted by the Borg and, just do the whole thing, just every single time. And I loved it every time I did it because I get to listen to them tell me about the goggles that Geordi wore, all the stuff they had collected. And there would be new stuff sometimes because they'd find it from somewhere and buy it and bring it in and put it in their little museum and get to go on the deck, and walk around the Enterprise and sit in the captain's chair. And it's just cool. I mean, and I paid VIP tickets every time. I got VIP so I could get the very best treatment the whole time. And then when I was finished at the end, I'd go to Quirk's bar and I'd eat and I'd drink Romulan ale. So then I'd go back home dressed in my little stupid costume like a nerd. But I love it. And I did it every time until now. They don't do it anymore. They don't have it anymore.
It's okay.
But what I'm saying is I think people would do that, sign up for it, pay for it, because to me, it's definitely worth it. And I wasn't rich. Just think about someone that's a Star Trek fan that has thousands of dollars to waste. They would, believe me.
Well, my review for this movie, I'm going to give it an 80%.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's barely just a marginal increment above what you saw in the chat, but this movie is better the second time around than the first. And I enjoyed it more than watching it with everybody yesterday and just laughing. This is a fun movie to watch by yourself. This is a hilarious movie to watch with friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody that wants
just
to
like
see
you
it,
said, invite someone to come watch it with you.
Yeah, this is for those of you that are vets that got vet friends that don't have family nearby. This is the perfect movie to, especially if you're from up north. If you're north of I-40, I-70, put this movie in your player on your YouTubes or on your, if you got the VHS, it's a 2002 movie or 2001 movie. If you have the VHS, fucking pull it out and watch it. It's a great film. You're gonna enjoy yourself with it. This is not exactly a quote unquote toxic movie, but this movie has a lot of masculinity in it. So anybody that's out there that wants to see more films with guys being guys, perfect film for that. I'm going to recommend this to my buddy Nick Weiser. With my score of 80%, this is definitely in the green zone. And I think anybody that wants to see a film that you can be happy as a human just to watch and share with others, because it's one thing to watch a movie by yourself, but the real test of a movie is when you watch it with others. And if the two of you are watching it 45 minutes in and you're not looking at your phones, you're watching a good movie. And I think this definitely qualifies. We're not gonna do a movie review next week because it's Christmas. I might turn on the camera and do stuff. Before I do, I'll probably throw a message out to Janet, see if she wants to go live. But she's going to have family there, so I don't expect it. If Janet goes live, I'll probably
Depends on
watch
how
it.
late they stay, because I got a baby, remember?
Yes.
So but I don't want to say I would do it, and then I have to tell you at the last minute I can't. So I'd rather say no.
I'm not saying a guarantee. I would actually, if it would probably be better if you did like a 3-minute show with or not a 3-minute show, but like a 3-minute video of you. You know how you have when you went on vacation to Florida, you had all your buddies there in the kitchen and you were drinking and just having a fun.
Oh yeah, we just did a thing where we did the toasts and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's all random, depending on what's going on.
Yeah, that might be what you want to do next week. I will probably go live Christmas night because my wife is going to be in the other room. She's going to be doing her own thing more than likely. Unless we do something together, we'll be streaming. And I'm not going to guarantee anything, but if you guys see a pop-up notification, swing on by, say hi, drop a like or a thumbs down. The interaction's what I go for the YouTube's sake. For those of you on Rumble, all 5 or 7 of you that are watching us on Rumble right now, thank you. You guys have been over there all night, and appreciate that somebody enjoys watching us. Rumble, I'd like to be with you more often. That's all I'm going to say. The home of free speech. All right. So I guess this is where I share a snippet of what we will watch on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
If you want to be part of this Sunday night, New Year's Eve, 7 p.m. That's right. We're going to watch the second best movie of 1982. We're watching Blade Runner. The first of the year, we're going to discuss it. 7:30 p.m.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to seeing this. This is easily a movie that you all know. It affected me very deeply, just for the fact that their mastery of being able to craft a story and let it go nuts with you. The more you watch this movie, the better it gets, I think. But then you have like just the sets, you have the props, you have the special effects, and it made me a believer. Also, Sean Young, hot. Gary from Pop Culture, he says that she's a sweetheart. Daryl Hannah in probably her best role, and Ridley Scott with his set direction and mastery. This movie is one of my faves, probably in my top 10. When Rutger Hauer passed, I had a small stream that night. So I thought that giving him a thank you for partaking in one of the greatest movies of all time, that was just something that would be only appropriate on the day of his exit. And God bless that man for living the way he did. If it was not for him being part of that movie, it would not nearly be as loved as it is. Because, as you know, at the very end of the film, they're having a hard time finishing the movie. And so Rutger Hauer goes in his trailer at like 2:30, and he just writes down a few lines. He's in character, and he knows how he has to do this. And he goes up to Ripley, and he says, or Ridley Scott, and he's like, I want this to be my character's exit. And they were pretty much pushing budget, pushing their set rental. They need to wrap it up. This is it. At sunup, the movie's over. And so they film it the way that Rutger said, and that's the movie. It wasn't something that Ridley Scott was planning on doing. It just kind of came out of Rutger Hauer, and thank God for that, because that movie is just so fucking good.
Mhm.
Six Nation, 31 Kings knows exactly what my favorite movie in 1982 is.
We already did that one too.
Yeah, we did that. We actually discussed that movie over 2 nights because there's so much to talk
Rutger
about.
Hauer would be a great person to do a whole month of his movies, because he had like Lady Hawk, which I loved, and The Hitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 really good movies that we could do.
Well, I will say that we're gonna fit that in somehow in this month or in this year.
Mhm.
January 8th is the McMartin trial with James Woods, and we're gonna watch that movie. We're gonna try to find a copy of it and get onto it, and then I'm gonna do the rest of that month. I'm gonna try to find feeds and do the broadcast of the film that I just his mind slipped my Philip K. Dick. We're gonna do Philip K. Dick the other 4 nights. The non Philip K. Dick movie is McMartin Trial, but the rest of January I'm going to be trying to secure feeds for Screamers and a few other films that he did. I think, as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to go for a Tom Cruise film because that actually was a really good movie that he did, the Minority Report.
Mhm.
But Philip K. Dick is just a great, amazing author. He had a lot of good ideas. There's a feed of him. There's an interview where he's talking about, he's doing a synopsis where he feels that we're all living and partaking in a simulation. And I think if you get the time and you give that some energy just to listen to that, just to hear the guy talk, it doesn't change your perspective on life. It doesn't give you a new respect for religion or a new disrespect for religion, but it makes you think about the rules of the game which we must abide by.
Mhm.
And I state it like that because there are times when it does feel like we're stuck in a simulation. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. Philip K. Dick says it so much better. But like I said, the 1st of January, we will discuss the movie Blade Runner and then McMartin Trial.
Mhm.
Next December, I want we can go back to having a whole month of Christmas films
Mhm.
that we haven't really discussed yet. And if we could, I would like to have 4 weeks of Gina Davis, with the final film stopping in the first week of December. That way we get The Long Kiss Goodnight, which is an amazing Christmas movie.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Mhm.
No?
No.
Oh,
Is it a chick flick?
not in the least bit.
Oh, okay.
It's a Shane Black movie.
Okay. Well, I
You know
haven't
what
seen.
do you know who Shane Black is?
They sound familiar. I would probably recognize it when I saw 'em. I'm not very good with names, but I remember faces.
No Days of Thunder, Bruce. I don't want to see a 5'9" non-driver as a NASCAR driver. I'm sorry. That's not what I want to watch. I don't. We already covered Legend. Okay.
And he was good in that one. I don't really like Tom Cruise, but I liked him in that movie. But I liked Tim Curry more.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got to take what we can get, right?
Yeah, we'll take what we can get.
But it was a good movie.
I'm trying to find a picture that you would remember. Oh, here we go. Give me those. Are you serious? Not a single one of those photos is from. Oh, you fucking homo.
What are you trying to find?
I'm trying to find a photo of Shane Black when he was involved with the movie Predator.
He sounds really familiar, but
Yeah.
it's just
Shane
like
Black is the
Billy
guy that was making all the pussy jokes in the movie Predator.
I think I remember who it
He's
is.
also the guy that was reading Sergeant Rock comic book. Here we go. He played Hawkins. My associate Bear, he's throwing it out there. He's like, you guys should watch more
Earth
Shane
Girls
Black
Are
films.
Easy. Yeah, he's got a good list right there.
Yeah.
I've
Shane-
seen all the movies except for the last one.
Yeah, that's Shane Black. That was the director of Predator. He also did some script rewrites. He's done a lot of good things. As much as he's been canceled and had some shit, because that's just what it is.
I don't recognize him.
Okay.
Sorry.
As far as being a writer, he wrote Lethal Weapon, Monster Squad, Lethal Weapon 2, Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon 3, Last Action Hero, Long Kiss Goodnight, Lethal Weapon 4, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I don't know about these movies. Nice Guys. He did the series. He did The Predator.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot.
His direction, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, Edge, Nice Guys, and The Predator, which The Predator is like the worst of those films.
Yeah.
Where is Predator at? I thought he was actually in The Hunt for Red October. That's surprising. Okay, John McTiernan was the director, and they don't really mention him as being part of the writers, but he was doing a lot of the writing on the side for this, getting it fixed, because he was big. He was a big part of this, and him and John McTiernan were talking about shit throughout the whole filming process. I don't know what John McTiernan's wanting to do nowadays. John McTiernan has like the ideal, like Shane Black has a better resume in my opinion, but for directors, John McTiernan is really solid on early 80s, early 90s, late 80s. Predator, Die Hard, Hunt for Red October, Last Action Hero. He directed some sinkers too, like The 13th Warrior is a movie that a lot of my friends like.
It.
Oh,
I love
talk about that.
Warrior.
We'll have to talk about
And because to me, that movie has the only truthful depiction to me, somebody who is going through speaking in tongues. I've never seen it portrayed the way they did it in that movie in any other movie.
You could look at it that way, but I've played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and the Bard, the most useless character that was available since the first edition, the Bard, back in first ed, it was really a badass class, but second edition neutered the Bard completely and made him a putz. But second edition bards had an ability to where if they were allowed to sit around a group of people for like a few days or so, they could start learning a language. They could start getting it.
Yeah, but see, I didn't get to play Dungeons and Dragons or anything until later in my life when I watched that movie. And he's sitting there and he all of a sudden looks over and, he's praying and trying not to be a bad person, right? He's trying to do the right thing and make the right decisions to help these people. And he rides a teeny tiny horse compared to their huge Clydesdales, things like that. So he's already separated, and he's also being surrounded by people that don't worship the same way he does. and all these things. And he's trying to get through to him, but he doesn't know how. So basically, all of a sudden, he looks over and he realizes he can hear them talking about his mother. He understands what they're saying. So to me, he was given the gift of speaking in tongues because he could understand what they were saying, and they could understand him when he spoke up. They were all shocked. So I love that. That to me was a very inspirational movie. Maybe it was at the time of my life, I needed some kind of inspiration, and that's why when I saw the movie, that's what I got from it. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Depending on how old you are when you see something, what's going on in your life when you see a certain movie, all those things I think affect how you absorb the movie and how you visualize it and put it back together.
We've never reviewed the Predator or the original Predator, have we?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay. Awesome.
But the 13th Warrior, I own that movie, and I bought it because of that premise that I just gave you from what I got out of it when I saw it.
And the Wokebreaker enters chat. Hey, Wokebreaker, how you doing? Historical bards are badass. Current bards are syphilitic piles of gonorrhea and bad puns. Absolutely. Hey, Papa Cotton.
So when you write yours, just make sure you don't make him one of those.
Bards, I don't know if I'm going to actually make bards, different than everybody else. I think the bards from 3rd edition actually had some good abilities, and I just have to be able to differentiate my game to where the bards can pick their abilities like everybody else gets to pick. But you gotta choose your mentors. You gotta figure out where you're at. You can't stay in a small town and expect to become really good at something, because you're just gonna be a shadow of somebody else that never grew. You're gonna not learn shit. You're gonna have a very pitiful skill list, because that's the
Well, it's
thing
just
about
like anyone. If
yeah.
you have 5 people and they all grow up in the same small town, and 4 of them leave and go out and they go to college, or they move to other towns or bigger towns or cities, and then they come back 12, 13 years later, and the other person that stayed there is going to be different than the other ones that all learn something different.
Exactly.
So, but that happens right now every day. Like I remember telling my mom, I don't want to stay here because I don't want to marry an Okie from Muskogee.
Yeah, they need to wander.
I didn't want to marry a guy that dipped snuff and, didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to travel or do anything or see the world. I wanted to be with somebody that was going to go somewhere, do something, experience it while we're young, so that when we're older and we have kids, we'll be able to stay home and raise our family. But, I didn't want to do that when I was young, I right off the bat, but it didn't work out that way. But that's what I was thinking, in my head, because when you just want to experience life as best you can. And my whole life, I moved every 2 years, that I can remember. And then my dad gets out of the service and we just stay. We're stuck. We don't move. We're in a teeny tiny hillbilly town because my mother wanted to be close to her mother that was not doing very well. So that's where we ended up. And I couldn't wait to leave. So, we all have that in our lives, I guess, to some degree.
Fair enough. So,
but thank you everybody for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks to everyone here on YouTube that was with us, from Wokebreaker and Six Nation 31 Kings, Papa Cotton, Flady departed earlier, Grandma, RPG Grandma was here, Soy Base Jeremy, Travis Wiley, thank you, sir. Good, can't wait to see you again. Missing our game day, I'm telling you. We had a lot of people in here today. Papa Cotton, Tree Rock Creations, Phil McCracken. Thank you, everyone. For those of you lurkers that are over there on Rumble that didn't pop in, say hi, but you're there giving me thumbs up, appreciate that. Uh-oh, what did Wokebreaker do?
I don't know.
No idea. Okay. Hold on. For those of you that were all here that saw the information, we're not going to be here next week. We are going to be here the first, doing what we do, and we'll be discussing Blade Runner 1982. Actually, we're going to look at the final cut version if I can get a hold of it. Looking
You can
forward to
join
that.
us and watch it with us if you want on the night before.
Yeah, in the Discord. And let me send out the invite for those that want to be part of that. Links are in description, but we also have this handy little link right here. I hope everybody enjoyed us tonight. If you have questions, comments, if you have a trouble with something we said, that's what the comment section is for. We'll be happy to discuss that. Give you guys, hey, you're right. Maybe I was being a dick. I shouldn't have said about those kids that were in a helicopter that got tossed out later. Maybe I was bad. I don't know. But that's what comment section's for. I do expect at some point there will be a fight in the comment section, but I'm not that big yet. Once again, for Bruce, for Janet from Another Planet, please find us on our other socials. Janet will be hosting numerous things on Twitter. She's in Spaces quite a bit. Janet, do you have those on your socials and your links?
No, Spaces isn't really something like that. You just until they do Spaces live video or whatever, I won't be able to do that. But basically, I just go into Spaces and I co-host. We talk about all kinds of different topics. So you just have to watch my timeline on Twitter if you want to, join me in a space.
Okay. Well, save that for Twitter. Thank you so much, everybody. If I don't see you next week, I want you to have a Merry Christmas. If you're of the Hebrew faith, I hope Hanukkah was a blessing for you and your family. If you celebrate another holiday, I'm sorry. I hope it was good for you.
Well, I wanted to say something. Wokeberg has said you can stream in Instagram. I tried streaming my first time the other day, and it did really good for like 10 minutes on the last Friday Night Shit Show. But the only thing is, I couldn't, there was no volume button or anything, so I couldn't turn it down or do anything. So it was an echo on my side, and it was hard for me to concentrate because it was a delayed compared to our other stuff. And so I ended up having to turn it off because I couldn't figure out how to turn it down or whatever. So I'm going to play with it this week and try to figure it out to where it's not, killing me trying to focus on this show when it's coming out of this other side late, So until I can figure that out, I'm not monetized, so I'm not worried about rushing through it or anything. If it gets too frustrating and it's not fun, then I don't want to do it. So I'm going to take my time and try to do it and enjoy it to make it fun. But I wouldn't mind sharing it if to other apps if I can do it without wanting to break my my monitor or something.
It looked like Rumble was having some problems earlier tonight, like it was getting a little janky. Sorry about that, but we should be having a fully supported stream going over to Rumble once this ends, and they'll get it all figured out from there. I'm sorry if the live stream was not technically up to par, but we're still with a new company. And for those of you that are part of Rumble, thank you so much. If there's any questions you have, go ahead and drop them in the comments. My name is Bruce. Janet, you want to help us out of here?
Thank you for joining us, and for everybody that joined us on Sunday to watch the movie with us in Discord. Thank you for joining us. And if you have ideas or anything that you think would be good movies to watch, or anything that you think that might help us out or make us more entertaining, we'd sure like to hear it.
Yes, please. Thank you, everyone. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.